because I know that Museveni is constantly, Muhozi, they are trying to get Lumbuye by all means. Kiza, my brother, you know, I grew up together with Kiza. So it's good to see you. Welcome. Zalina, welcome. Philly, you're very welcome. Nakazi, very welcome. Ambayo, welcome, welcome. Paul, thank you for being here. So I want us to chat a little bit about things that have happened, what's going on, the meaning of the event of the swearing in, the fact that Byabakama did not declare the results, and things like that. And afoyo wunweng, afoyo jo matie live man, dano ma politika bino kombedi chawani, tienendo apara ngwen medwe ma beach, atamni ka bin kon wa meta kilok ma lokom jemi tela matie time Uganda kombedi chawani. Atieki jemi neno na ijemi mauti me nirma la Museveni ukatekere swearing in kikui ma kwalo kiri zal mabia kama po metinyo na me electoral commission ingeni uchero uchi swearing in la boy report mo ke an manurni actually any kwal any gene any lawyer kui tuan tek wija deda ento Museveni oberu la tek wij managa yang wana yepe wangeyo kori diwi Museveni ni ento kumpedi chawani don wangeyo Museveni. All along, we didn't know who Museveni was. The facts that he has moved the goalpost every time. He has moved extremes to further extremities just to see what Ugandans can do and how they will react and all of that. But Museveni, I can assure you that if you could not take Uganda when we were sleeping, so to speak, if Museveni could not take back Uganda before we learned exactly who he was and who he is, before we knew that Museveni was Kony, before we knew that Museveni was all these other, like ADF in Kasese, before we knew that Museveni was Kony for northern Uganda, before we knew that Museveni was Pokot in Karamoja, before we knew that Museveni was all those proxies that killed and destroyed Ugandans, now that we are awake, Museveni, you have no chance, especially that hoodlum of a son of yours. There is no way you will rest knowing that you have Uganda. For sure not. The fact that you have sworn in doesn't add to the fact that you are not legitimately a president of Uganda. You can call yourself that. You know, you can see from the attendances of the swearing-in ceremony, most of them were Africans. A few of them were extremely and heavily lobbied from the Western world. For example, the representative from the United States, one person of a delegation who went to the ceremony, that person was heavily lobbied to go and attend the event. Most of the times when the Western world will send somebody to go and do something like that, there are a lot of things involved. Some of it is to go and investigate, to see for themselves who this interesting person is. Also to capture what he might do live or be in the presence of how he may do certain things. So the African presidents who came, I can tell you that those ones came because Museveni somehow has a hand in their involvement, in their existence, in their winning of an election, in their other relationships, you know, like the AU being part of certain organizations. They couldn't avoid to be there because Museveni is somehow entangled in the leaderships of those organizations, which involve those people. Okay? That is the reason they were there. Obviously, his pets, his puppets, like Salva Kiir, he came because his strings are pulled by Museveni. Another one is the lady Suluhu. Of course she had to be there. She's the puppet of Museveni. Museveni helped her win an illegal election and pronounced her 99% win or whatever. Kagame did not come. You know, they have another can of worms there. Obviously, there's the issues with Congo and because Museveni sort of threw Kagame under the bus. Maybe there's disagreements there, maybe not, but they're of the same camp. Museveni and Kagame are cut from the same cloth. The same ideology. In fact, Museveni planted Kagame in Rwanda, which makes it easy to understand that if it doesn't come, it does not mean anything. Doesn't. Ruto personally wasn't there. He was hosting Macron, the president from France. So it does make sense that he couldn't be there. But all the African presidents, all the other presidents who showed up or sent somebody have some sort of tie to Museveni in some sort of way. The best part is the African Union, which is an African Union. Somehow their ties, he had to be there. Atika wachene, Jami Mauti me swearing in chalo, ludire lutela me lobo ma padi magubiano ne. Unu nero ne jo magubiano chalo, ki America, ki chwalo la cho achiel keken. Ka titi wuni, mwagali bario ki pia rio. President Ruto, me swearing in for President Ruto. Ki kelu delegation mo ki America, Dana Beach, magubiano ka witnessing ni lachoni President me Kenya manyen President Ruto tika bino ka swearing in madana yo yero ma akala mo ke ken pere ma jemi wen tika word mabe President Biden war Dana Beach me cher ka nenungo ka witnessing ka beru chaden in ma President Ruto kitika swearing in ento pa Museveni enini ki or Dana chel miero ngeni Museveni chulu Dana makiluoni lobbyist uberu dano man keketi chalo campaign manager. Example example ma be lo ere campaign manager in keti ka chero ka yenyu kui iyero campaign manager ko campaign agent ene dan ma buchero logo piri ma wachi umi kui ki ngate enini be ngate eni ngeyo teme kuman ngate eni ki kadong ka kera mo kena je mo tie mano ini balo ma down tika penyi neni ngate eni to winyo ber kuman ba lobbies to beru dan ma wachi ngate eni po beru kuman ngate eni beru kuman ma beru dan ko berichani lobbies pa Museveni I America ki chulu chok billion chaka beach maki chwalu chena ki State House mechulu la chone yani wako medeki lok mabe ki nyeng Museveni so ngati yani tiche dong yupo nyeng Museveni ki neno ni Museveni unen mabe ilo America kany ento pegeo video mano wano chi chwalu ne jame maraj ma Museveni timu ma I America duanta so dan maki chwalu ki America mecher ka beru witness kunune oberu dano ma jala Museveni campaign manager pa Museveni Americani o lega ma uchulu bene chene ma wachi jalwe konywa we America ucheru chinen kunu bene wek jo matamani Museveni rachi gunnen ni America bene chie chi wan waneno la cho achiel kuma en mala chone yani bene pero mo wani uberu la dit gimo keken la chone uberu way down mati keketi president's office no presidential advisor chalo down ma gene jo ma lori TV mera ta ma bene no kena mo kena pegin yang gina giti loko nene ko keketi down ma keloni full figure nen chalo wonu ngeyo keketi America uchor full figure yeo cher kwene I chaden pa Museveni ka swearing in man yuto ni no down ma pere tek ma pere tek down ma dongi wai in ko we kong tichi tim ne ni ko tichi ni be pere patek ko nen kong gina la jok chane tika tim ne Uganda so ki oro ni tichi ni pe pere tek anyway in tichi gu beru ticha tata cherchi maki wa machani makonye peni eno dan wa ki America be dana chele kan kumain. I am saying that the lobbyists, the person who was sent from America to go and witness Museveni swearing in, it does not mean the volume like America sent a delegation of 5 representatives to go to Ruto's swearing in 2022. Museveni has a lot of questions around the presidency. The United States is not an exception of knowing the facts. Senator Jim Risch has done a phenomenal job highlighting on the atrocities of Museveni. So this gentleman who was sent it doesn't have to mean that he embellishes any importance. He was lobbied heavily by the Museveni lobbyists in America, in Washington, D.C., because that is their job. The lobbyist is supposed to help Museveni look good. And so he had to find a way to send somebody. So let's just say they found this gentleman and said, you know what? What you do is not that important anyway. We need you to go over there to Museveni for a day or so and come on right back. So just to show you that there was not much value to that. So don't fear, do not worry, do not despair that America is complicit with what he's doing, what Museveni is doing, or the swearing in. They know for a fact that there was no DR forms. They know for a fact that Museveni did not win the election. They know for a fact that this was an illegitimate swearing in. They know for a fact, we have in fact the attorney of His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, Amsterdam, Robert Amsterdam, who knows and has been reporting publicly what Museveni has done and how come Museveni's government is a family cabal and they've performed a lot of atrocities, okay? Everything that we have shared, we have fed into the ICC, the international organizations, the EU, the state, the Department of African Affairs, all of the departments that pertain to Africa and the region and everything and the atrocities that Museveni has continued to commit. So do not despair. I am begging you, do not despair because you saw Museveni swearing in. Do not despair because a representative was sent from the United States. Compare 5 representatives delegation going into Ruto's swearing in ceremony versus one guy who is not publicly known to be anything important. They got him his ticket. They said, go on for a trip. He went on to Uganda, and that was that. Not important. Don't worry about it. The African delegations, the presidents who were sent, obviously have ties to Museveni somehow. But you also saw that some of them did not turn up. There's a big number that they're showing of, I think, 47 or 57 delegations or presidents or representatives from other countries. Not really. If you count, we did not have even 15 or 20 nations represented. That's for sure. You can look at the videos. Okay. Something else that marred the event. You saw that Museveni, as like every swearing in or the appropriacy of swearing in ceremonies, never in the past years that Museveni has come up and they've announced and all of that, that he had to have the CDF hand him the instruments of power. It is normally supposed to be handed in, yes, by some CDFs, but it should have been handed in by the Electoral Commission chief or chair or whoever that is, that person. As we had talked about how the events would happen, they tweaked a lot of things. A lot was changed so that we don't look right. Okay? For example, I told you that Museveni would be presenting Muhoozi like Simba in the movie The Lion King when the lion had a baby and was presenting that baby to the kingdom saying, this is your successor, because in the kingdom, that is how it works. But Uganda is not a kingdom. So essentially, this event was to present Muhoozi as the future. Even as Museveni swears in, you can see in his half-life, Museveni has deteriorated. He looks tired. He doesn't feel complete. He knows that he stole the election. He knows that he's lying. He knows that we're all witnessing a lie. He doesn't know what to tell the other people. His wife is dead and is in the fridge or at home or on the dinner table or on his bed. I mean, he cannot adjudicate to that. The guy is supposed to be miserable. He's trying to look strong. Muhoozi cannot handle this thing. The guy looks half full as a human being. You can tell that they're empty. They're just vessels parading out there. Okay? So, atika wachi, jami mauti me in an election ni uberu Museveni binu kanyutu wode. Lok ma ana titi wula karcha ni jami kita jami no bote me kere ni ana yoni. Gunone omieregi weng la kiremoni kenyu. Wek lokani po berada. Kitima tata kere ento jami mogo binero kita puru dong no kira tikwere. Ana wachi wuni Janet po beberu chie. Janet po beru pe. Pien Janet ko berichan. Kwane pere ya. Ento jo chachwin gitek. Tek mama konyepe. Yes, Dennis, thank you. The public service. Okay, I'll get to that also. Thank you very much, actually. Jo chachwin gitek. Katiti wuni lachoni Museveni daune kwane urwenwaro. Ento unen kiragi workere kitek chwin iwa igimo marat ke kan pay lobuni. Dauni uta mamani uta unyo mama kerido okay kerti mamani kome lera deda. Ini romu kerta katata me biene kin down beri wa igimo marat pe. Biene pay lore yeba. Kun down no ni Janet pe. Down je pe Janet pe. Museveni po mediteto. Ni Janet komelet, unyo Janet ti mwaroka, unyo Janet ti ot, unyo Janet tinining, po metiteto ne. Makun wange ni Janet, kwane dong pere. Wore muhozi bene, ukatila ni cha wachi, mienne peti mabe, tika wachi, suluhu me Tanzania ni tiru go chimki wane, nenchal tika mieto mienne, mieto wane. Kwe go kong, unu nen tek chwin, matikom Johnny. Wunu nen kwa chwin matikom Johnny. Utamani Johnny adedani nigi par piu. Museveni pe par ka ebini ngolo ngudano holi weng ini kololo kenyuni. Ngolo ho weng bene beru mod beri wegi mo bene po yelo. Monu kwa chwin pa joma aki Rwanda. Tutwale Museveni ge. Monu kwa chwin. Ento awechi wuno ni Museveni ko bino is swearing in bubino ka nyuto wore kundong ba miu batun ki wore wachi. Ene dobo meta nyim. Menu kita kitimu kere ke mano ki yuboni ubeberu kumeno ni wotangari ki wore nyunyo nyare obi meta ki logi community enini. Ento man Uganda man democracy ma president o miere o work lodge jo mo kene dago don ki luoni transition ineno man inone okelo wore me anyura pien unu neno instruments ginaki luoni jami me teach mano ki miu mano nkano president manyen uno Museveni ubukwanyu jami eguni miu kila din manyen wachi inde meta ki teach no mede fungwa gi kwa nga gini mi chien wachi inde meta ki teach unu neno wore aye enu ti yukere ma ukwanyu jami yani o miu kinga ki muone manera yangine ni po metitime ki yada la dit me public service ena e kwanyu ginaki luoni instruments jami me teach megamente manyen kwanyu kamiu kila dit manyen manodon ki yer matika swearing in wachi indong man jami mamiere ti kere anda ti ako mega inde mede kwere pe wore ye miu jamu kere ma oneno wore ubinu machalu la dit lobo ka oneno mutaka ne kitaki labeling kere ka choy kere jami ne mo ki choy manyurni mana ye la tela Ineno, ento pago bakati, mobo tierro ni ada, jamina boberu kuman. Ubinu mere ka nyutu ni ana wachi wini na obo nyuru bode ma nyuru kuman chalu Simba. Ifili make luoni ya nis digena ni, Lion King. Uberu ke pa gena, ke me dilum. Maku nyuru ni labuo, aye la dit menga, me community me dilum. Chika latino bino piano labuo dak, latine, meta ki lodge kumeno. Simba mala ten makinwalo dong la ten la buoni wone obino nyuro ki le weng matingo i community gi kun wajini mana ye la tela wu mabilo puko an kadong an kuona pe gina Museveni utemoni uberu kiti ene kikome neno lok mo kene ma utete ene kuno Museveni wachi en tameni dano po bineno Manyuti neno pere ni kun wachi jo Uganda do bineno gina yang gen pia ginene kwoge dano po bineno pichan to pero madira dada ki rwenyu kwo en makwai rwenyu gina yo me kwone mena ngwane ni gina dongu biti ye moboloyo ma Museveni kieno mokene ka loko no tika loko bo jo Rwandese ne kun wachi ni eni dong mawabi mako ni we umak teach peo doka neno pedo ni en wachel umak watich kita wa mero kere metoro Uganda go wek wana ye wa bedlu lonyo wana ye wa law Uganda umak teach pe onen ena Museveni wachi no sleep this time you know no more corruption bena wajo kun ene no tikaterne but dan ma ende bi gwero ki gamente enini manyen ni wakimachoni jo madong tutwale miti wore ubini wai malaika miti wore ubini wai nga iwa Yesu mano ubinu ka konyu dano ubinu ka you know katimu tij mogu ma pat ma wek dano mare ni ento no ena iko kwa chibalo ne ba pien genti yukumenu gibalo ma tek kada gidugo gibai oh sorry nga mo bela timu tija kumane ni ineno. So I was saying that this was truly to present Muhoozi. As you can see his deliverance when he came in the first time, you can see the handing over of the instruments of there was supposed to be, Dennis, thank you. The public service person was supposed to hand over those instruments to Museveni, not Muhoozi. But in essence, they had to change things a bit because of what we had already talked about. But everything that they did was truly, as we had said, they tweaked it just a little bit. The other thing I mentioned was that Museveni, Janet would not be there. As you saw, the presidential dinner the day before, when he hosted the people who had come in to swear in, truly, Janet was not there. As we had said it, they tried everything possible. They even have a video that they put together to try to present Janet in a video if he did not come to the event, but he came to the event and he couldn't bring a dead body to the event. But that just goes to show you how evil and sick these Muhoozi Museveni people are. Imagine he has lost his wife. Muhoozi has lost his mother. But the ceremony continued like nothing has happened. I mean, that is the darkest of hearts I've seen. Museveni is the worst person I have heard of in my life, and I've not lived very long. Since I was born into his presidency. All I've known is Museveni's presidency. That's how come now I can talk, because I know so much about it. I have lived it. But to show you that these people are sick in their head and they're dark and they will do anything to they could have slaughtered everybody at Kololo and walked away like nothing happened. Which doesn't negate the fact that they may have done something to all those people, and I'll get to that. How sick is it that this man, the planned Semwandu, goes on to handle an event like a swearing-in ceremony where Janet is usually known as Mama, Mother of the Nation, Mama Janet, you know, she's dead, not there. The guy doesn't speak about her. The son does not speak about her. Despite all the questions, they move on like nothing happened. I mean, he never mentions the absence of Janet. Like, literally, it is obvious. Everyone is questioning it. Not a word. That is how sick these people are. It is said that Janet was already buried in Tanzania. But obviously, they are going to perform some sort of burial ceremony in Uganda because Janet, before she passed, foresaw Uganda getting completely messed up. And she knew that Ugandans no longer want them. So what he did, she wrote in one of her last rites and said, I would rather be buried where we can call home for a longer term. Because in Uganda now, people hate us, and I could probably be dug out in a moment of, you know, Ugandans disagreeing or whatever the case might be. She was worried that she may get dug out and burned or just played around with because Ugandans are just waiting to celebrate the news. We know she's gone. And we are dying to celebrate because for once, these people have felt it where it matters. But let me tell you, we could be wrong because these people are sick as the devil himself. Sick They showed no remorse. That means whatever they're going to do for the next government, the next 5 years or the next time they're in power, is going to be worse than you can imagine. So brace yourselves for it, Uganda. It's going to get worse. I promise you. It's going to get worse if we don't do anything. If we don't do anything, it's only going to get worse. So ati wachi, chol chwin pa Johnny, ki kwa chwin pa Johnny, magi beri way gimo ayela moke ken penny. O nyurudong be meta ki nyutu kita Johnny chwin giraju ke pian Ugandans ku beri chan no gitika kwora mengo yom chwin menyeno ni gien bene daro bene utoi gangi gien bene tika winyarem eno pego nyurmono ba. Manyuti Georgia Raju. Ki wachi Janet Kuberichane. Ki yiko godong. Ki yiko kwane Tanzania. Piana wachi uni Tanzania. Museveni wili yengo madira dada mau yubu. Gimoni beri way city. Wunu winyi way I lok mayo berika lokone gena ikololo kacha. O waju ki doge ni Tanzania. Maboro Tanzania dada. PNN. Yes, Dennis, but we need it on a large scale. For all Ugandans to be on the streets, everybody do what they do to celebrate so that we can celebrate the demise of this woman. It is time for Ugandans to enjoy something. And this one is top of the list. Okay? So, Janet Kuberichani kiwaiki yoko Tanzania, ento karma Janet topian, karma ento kerini, uno dong Ugandans do choko. Ugandans don't dead get it. My general when you leg Museveni did I need ping up or work pa John. Ping up or work John ya work Johnny Peggy Miro wakwalu kuya kwala. You know, wakwalu kui wa work dong Pierre Wendo Ramo. Ento Museveni peye. Ma Museveni peye any better and any tearing e ali pap ki queenie any. No kibimare, makibitere either kibitere mabuji, unyo Museveni no dong pekwa. Pien down ma John you tim arrange kom gidwa ta. Museveni param kwa wala chanyanya meteng yo ben mir gone we. Wala la gena la tuampi making gang bene mir pisa Museveni koi go. Manyuti enye dong loyo ni enke we okay we. Chide tum. Eno we Museveni mir toy dogeni eno. Eno we mirti wode da ko magini. Pien Museveni nge ni. Wagwano ne po beri Uganda wangchawa chel. Teki Museveni gidong pay lot mwech. Petie gimoke ken maudong gi Uganda. Marki wachi kita Janet dongi yironi. Pien karma Janet toma endong ngeni debi cher awinyu wachi ene mirti peki yire Uganda. Pien ngeni jo Uganda dong pe mire. Manyuti karma ke ken ka jemi ulaka dada. Jo Uganda bu gole ro. Kibi golo ke la yatane. Ki kera katata kitime kerata ki wow stime kerata. Pemete ki lan chogone. Chiwai ki yire kacha. Plana Museveni gidong tieni. Gube kate kito pa Janet. Ikine duwe ma bichel nyo duwe ma biero. Ena gi kate kwereni. Gube watching on. Gube keru gima ma oberi wai kom dano. Ki kere kofen. Kitimu ceremony roma be. Yikira ki yiru kerdano. Kibi yiru roma be. Eno no ki yiru kwergi money. Pe kom dano. Pien kom down non ki yiro kacha. Ento le witch man no down way uya. Wunu way Janet aki Uganda do. Wunu way wunu ti Uganda ko. Pingo da peko yiro kan. Pingo cheru yiro wakamoni. So gitika luoro ko the question mu beru kiti enne. Eno wero. Kibi timeni kibi yiro gimoni Uganda Kenyani. So they are afraid of the questions Ugandans will have regarding Janet when they come out in June or July to say truly she has died and we need to make a formal burial of Janet in Uganda. So what they're going to bury is not going to be the Janet, the person of Janet. They are going to create some sort of thing, a doll or whatever, mold something like Janet and put it for public display. You know, sometimes Museveni doesn't allow for coffins to be opened of dead people. When Jacob Olanya passed away, rest his soul, I know that one of the things that people had talked about and asked me said, wait a minute, we have not seen him. When I shared on my page that Museveni had refused to allow the coffin to be opened for his final viewing, he finally let it open. But in common practice, it is common practice that people like Kasiria Gwanga, Museveni burned his body and made coffee ground out of him, and uses that coffee for people who visit State House. It's mixed up in other coffee. So people who visit State House and have some coffee, take a sip of some of the people that Museveni refused their coffins to be opened for final viewing, and Museveni has a guard on their graves. They have a guard on their graves. So I spoke about how come they were not opening the coffin of Jacob Alanya, and then he chose to open it. Otherwise, he had refused. Okay? It is the reason why there are certain graves in Uganda that Museveni puts a military guard, 3, 4, 6 of them, on the grave. I don't know why. I know why. Because he wants people not to dig it up and find information and find out if their person is truly in there, if anything at all is in there. Because most people who have died have been taken to Museveni first for his personal sacrifices, whatever he does. There are sick things that I heard he has done to the father of my children. It is insane to even think about, but he has done it. Listen, if Museveni can behave like this at the funeral, at a celebration, doesn't mention his wife, believe me, these guys are sick. I'm going to tell you some things that I think is going to blow your mind. Some of these things that I'm telling you, I can't even explain. I've never seen, never experienced, but I've gotten the information from the source. So I want you to share it so you can imagine the evil in the sick people who are leading Uganda right now. Sick, insane. Yes, Zuleika, the body of the bishop. I mean, these guys are something else. So Atika Wachi, Timpa Johnny, Rajadeda. Hold on just a minute. I've got to get some air in here. It's hot. Atika Wachi, Timpa Jochani, Rajadeda. Kita uneno kere ni pego betero ni Janet come pe anyway. Wundo ku kito beteme kere. Kia da kibe yigo yeko no kibe yigo gimani. Neno. Kibe yigo gimani no be ena da. Ento gene ne kagu yigo. Kibe teme kere ni dong liela da kita yang chan kita juini kita ki yo kere da ni. Eno no pe ada. Chid nyuru kita Johnny chwin giraju kere. Okay? Atie ke jami mogo ma mieta titi wu. Ma titune. Jami ne mogo titune tek. Pien ane ko mani pa neno bene pa ngeyo. Ento pien information mano a ki iye kunu ki bot Johnny. A mieti no wero niang kita diwi Johnny tie kere. Kita chwingi tie kere. Mano kitemgi makwaro dano ma a ki Uganda. Awa Uganda kapewa ayu wunu malo. Chi kwabo beru dengba. Obi mette do amera pien ku berichani mwa biche ni dongu mao ke chi apa. Magin waja ni message ma eno wachu ni no sleeper da. Mam wachi dano Uganda po benero. Mapo leni ini nero kira tema kitika temne ku berichani gitika ngonlo generation megi nako youth en buluni. Ena egimete kongi kwanyu ne ma bititu kita go betemu kwere ne ineno kado tiego bulu gimir tutwale Buganda pian unu ngeni Buganda oberu kaikete Kampala oberu city ko gulu bene city kaweng city kama city ti yeni tima be ento Kampala oberu city mo city me gen economic city me wel madon ki business biachar madon timme Kampala. Maucha keki karepa Buganda. Wanigi wadon Kampala ni pian wege wa noni watelo teno kwane I Kampala city. Mangu wachigi mete gitu Buganda wangadong pere. Petere ni pego betor kamu kene pian chikamu kene do guto orobene kar malaj magitika timatata. Elare kon Uganda I northern Uganda kacha mwaka piera rio dan mertumo. ADF kasese kacha makiton dan salumit paka. Chok tumo. Inano kamu kena ma pari panga en machete en ma jo ma tonda di warning po leo beru kwene I Buganda uneno karamoja kacha eastern jo pokot mono weng no Museveni ukera ni mono tit ma joni miero ti Ma down me tomorrow. Go watch it come by the town in don't way. Down we no. Okay. So Amiete Achaki, I want to start with the first you know, one of the things, the plans that they have going forward. After saying that there will be no sleep, they mean it. In what they mean is the fact that in Buganda, especially, they are going to cause the most distraction because they believe Buganda is one of the reasons they're failing in their attempts. I want to say this to Museveni again, that I know that you may watch this. If Museveni failed to take over and completely flip over Uganda and make it Rwandi's federation or whatever he dreams of, or make it their dynasty, while we were sleeping, while Lumbuye was not here, while we were not actively involved in questioning everything about Museveni, why does he think he can do it now? It's impossible to do it now. Impossible. Museveni, it is impossible for you to do this now when we are awake. There's no way. We are questioning everything. We're looking at everything with a magnifying glass. We're dissecting everything you do. Whatever you say is no longer superficial. We're looking in the details. We are smuggling security alerts right from under your nose. There is no way you have us. Museveni kanene no tamoni de kwanyu Uganda. Ikare ma wan put pia wakati kilok. Madan put pia wango yapeni. Kwanyu Uganda ungai Museveni kare enni. Museveni tamoni kubedi chawa ni ayedong ene bi kwanyu Uganda. Po bilare. Pien jami wengma Museveni timu watine ane kumai. Gene. Jami wengma timu lok ma Museveni loko dong pedo ye ni dong do waji do bed kumero. No. Gin mo ke ken ma Museveni waju wabi nero wabi ngiu wabi nyamu wabi nyangte wabi kertero li weng men yang ngoma tika wachineni dok tika wachine baranga pien kien mo ken ka en logo child protecting the gains enni po beru gains pa un Uganda ya gains ma Museveni wa ni protecting oberu gains pa jo Rwandese jo mano dong tika timo jemi go Uganda. I'm saying protecting the gains was not meant for Ugandans. So every speech of Museveni is going to be dissected, is going to be researched, is going to be broken down. We are not going to swallow your pills like we used to, Museveni. If you couldn't get us then, if you could not take Uganda before we woke up, my dear, it's too late for you. It's too late. The best thing we have is time. We have all the time in the world. And I'm not saying we're going to live forever. And I'm not saying that we'll outlive Museveni. Because death and life is not on us. God makes that decision. Anything can happen to anyone at any time. But I'm saying that in general terms, Museveni has no time left. Museveni is desperate. We have time. And we can get this done today, tomorrow, next week, next month, next year. Anytime, because we have time. There are so many Chagulanyi Sentamus all over the world that love Uganda, that are friends for Uganda, that are born Ugandans, that are outside of Uganda, that are inside of Uganda, that Museveni, no matter what you do, you have no time and you don't have a stampede like we do. So this is temporary. Yes, you got a representative from the United States, but it's not a 5 delegation like they went to see President Ruto. You have a lobbyist in the U.S. who can get anything done, but we also have our ways. So we're not disappointed. We're not in despair. I ask everyone to wake up. Whatever you are doing, do it 150% now. More than you've done it before. More than you have done it before. We have this guy. We have got this guy because we have time. We have time. We have energy. We have life. We mean well. We did not steal anything. We are happy to be doing what we are doing, even on empty stomachs. The people whose houses are being broken in Kampala or anywhere in Uganda, Those are people who supported Museveni. Those are people in Museveni's camp. They're crying now. Museveni has hammered Nup. He has beaten Nup people. He has killed. He has destroyed everything. We have nothing more to lose. We are ready to just jump on his jugular. Okay? So be empowered. Nano, atika wachi, Museveni karino dong tamoni ende ramut gini eniba. Tie jami aria dek, mati marach, kiputumbad Museveni. Kaya kete tukudilo. Ini nano team chani, ki team enini. Wa kete eni team pa Museveni, eni team wa. Team pa Museveni, mwakane do cherako. Eni gina Museveni peramo welo ne dak peramo duako ne. Ka dada ene nila neno cha mau neno Museveni I swearing in kachani. Kome dong pe, gubu dong pe. Kan neno ber neno ki teka dada. Loke ken lok tere. Utemeni pie la kirmani kenyu. Mono ki tuju ki vitamin dada. Utemeni pie la kirmani kenyu. Eno kono medeste ria dek kodong pe. Chwinye ramu chocha moe ken. Museveni mwaka piera bungwen ki wiye. Pien bolo dani mwaka piera boro ki wiye. Museveni mwaka piera bungwen ki wiye. One, Museveni tie ki jami weng. Tie ki lotiano. Tie ki family. Tie ki lonye me Uganda go weng. Ene ori makitika torne tengioni. Ori pa jopa Museveni gi. Nyano. Museveni do weko Ugandans luchana deda. Weko daga doge camp enini. Jome camp eni matie Ugandan National Unity Platform. Joma mero change ni. One pole wati bulu. One pole wati ki kare me anyim. Wati ki kwa. Matika biyan. Kwa gere kekete. Rubage ron kwa nyukwa cha moe kian. Ento I general. Kumaik. Waka lokong mere general. One job wati team mawa mero change ni. Mwaka waputie ba. One job wati team enini. Gimawa dong pere. Museveni ugoy. Okwanyo lonyo kiching wa oli wenke nen Bobby Wine wa ata bene pere. Museveni kwanyo ata Bobby Wine ko. Beach pa Bobby Wine katiki romero kwanyo ne ko. Jo mati di gena itengyo jo acharo will Uganda kacha. Kilor no dukan yo ko kitime ko tata danu dong no. Makai ki go at money ni kono better steps kono di bene pe oriwa. Ko ne bene pe wa bi ko pian gi mo wa dong pere. Ento wati generation me bulu ma ke tika nekwa ke me change tika nekwa. We are hungry for change. Wati eki gubu, wati eki mwake me anyim, wati eki kare. Gima wa budong bedong pere. Jemi wa wenki kwa lako kibal jemi wa weng. Wadi wa kono wege wa kono mege wa maki neko ne duanta. Inheritance kono ngoni pere bodwa. Ento wadong kikomwa kiwiwa matiu kikomwa matek mawa tie ready pia lora chawa mo keken so jomati Uganda mak annually me Uganda pot twinyu poto utung matek pian gubu tie mwa tie lonyo mabepere enjo madong penien tutwale jopa Museveni gi. One ka wanena oli bat per gimama watam ko ni business man tia bale ko ki kwanje mi weng wanena oli rot wachoma wa yeng wachoma wa mera laga so are you chung matek uchung wono matek gimoy ke na tika karki bot joni wo kwe wa ujema ro po ye ya wono tiki jemi weng camp change. You have everything going for you. Camp loss, Camp Museveni, they have everything to lose. We have everything to gain. Those are two teams. We have everything to gain. When they break those buildings, they're not ours. Okay? So it is up to you, who is young, to be smart and brilliant, not to go for that rice that Museveni is making because it's poisonous. Not to accept small money because the future is large. This small money that you're going to get will take you nowhere. Nowhere. These Balaam people are giving you this, that, and the other. Please don't accept that money. Stand strong and be bold. Do not accept to be fooled, to work for the Musevenis. I'm going to give you a typical example of a Ugandan who has worked for Museveni diligently. And it is time for Museveni to kill her. It is time. Ugandans, wake up and choose to be on the right side of history or current affairs for that matter. Autu mate uye side maboloyo ginia. Pochet kichani piana bi nyutubu dano mo makupedi chawani otimu jemi wengpi Museveni ento Museveni do wachi omiere ki kwan jemi ko wen ki bore wen ki kwan jemi wen ki tuego tuare ki neko en bere mier cherchi togo dago ni no yang pero mutietu gimo ire magina pe mer winyu ne chikwo. Anita Among is an example I'm going to bring to all Ugandans working for Museveni. Anita Among she's now fat enough for the slaughter. Let me go to that first anyway. So, according to, you saw during the swearing-in ceremony, Anita Among tried to speak with Muhoozi. Muhoozi was so disgusted that he could not bear to give her a glimpse of his eyes. It was just too much. He could not even look at Anita Among. And yet Anita is staring right at her. That is a picture of a true Uganda today. Today, that is where Uganda is. Uganda is Anita Among. The Muhoozis, the Musevenis is Muhoozi's picture. That figure of Muhoozi and Anita Among. Anita Among represents Uganda and Muhoozi represents the dictatorship. You can tell how disgusted Muhoozi is. He doesn't even want to look at her despite what she's trying to tell him. Meanwhile, this woman just passed a bill for them in a very rudimentous way. She did not think that tomorrow things would change. But I tell you, their plans for Anita will bring her to her knees. And this goes for every Ugandan. So let's start with Anita Among. Atika wachini, chal ma wunu neno matika nen matika warata manyuru Muhoozi gina Anita Amonge. Kekete eni Muhoozi. Mana Anita Among. Anita Among natika wachi gimani about Muhoozi. Ento Muhoozi chwinye dega Anita tutwal maperomo noni permiti nen wa Anita. Makune ni no speaker neba. Man put speaker me parliament put pia again no bale. Despite being the speaker, awachi Muhoozi, Anita tika lockboard Muhoozi, ento Muhoozi permiti etiki wine, menen no wa Anita, unyo kari ni nen konka wi Anita kuman, menen just figure pa Anita kuman, po me ticket wine kom Anita. Manu the lock Anita tika wachini, dek ira deda, bene permiti nen wine, permiti win wa lock, teacher tika wachi pingo, dako ni kiye obionu chakera. Mana ye chalma Uganda. Kekumanak. Okay. Mana ye chalma nyuru Uganda. Anita Among tie chalma Uganda. Chalpa Uganda kuperi chawani. Muhoozi oberu chalpa ngo gamente pa Museveni. Mana ye kita Museveni gi beru kere kiwan mawati Ugandan ne. Ineno dongwe. Mena ye chalme Uganda ki kome. Ini ka wunu keng ineno swearing inwe. Gineani unyuru adadaine ne kita joni par kere piwa. Pegi par wachel. Abi titi wu kita dong muho Anita Among chawa ne do romo ko. Museveni gido wachi kare do romo. Mekwa nyo Anita Among ki jami weng mano Anita Among tiye. Abi titi wu kita gino buwaro kere. So, let's start with Anita Among. I wanted her to be last, but let's do that first, because I'm right there. Okay, so, you remember at the parliamentary seating where they talked about the sovereignty bill and they passed the bill. One of the things that Anita Among said to Joel Senyonyi, Lope, Anita Among said that it was their last supper, and that is to Joel Senyonyi. And Joel said, what do you mean by that? To tell you how tables have turned. That moment, whatever Anita Among said about being the last supper, take it from me that Anita Among is on her very last supper. Things are about to change tremendously. Tremendously. Here's how. So far, there's been talk about Anita Among not becoming a Speaker of Parliament anymore. There is also talk about Tayewa, but Tayewa is one of them. You just never know. I'm not going to bet anything on that. But for Anita Among, it is clear that she's no longer going to be Speaker of Parliament. Everything that Anita Among has done, everything the government has on her. Remember the case where this lady Nandutu is in prison for. All that involves Anita Among. Anita Among has been fattened and she's ready for the slaughter by the NRM government. That's exactly how it happens every time for everybody who has died working for Museveni. This is the same script. Those of you who are rushing to work for Museveni, this same script follows you. Museveni will not take you on and give you a lot of power if he has nothing on you. They have enough on Anita Among. This is what they want to do to Anita Among. Atika wachi, Anita Among don kara ne oramo, me abaya, me aya. Inero, kiwachi joma gire, joma guago le charo upego ni. Upego pe chate ma food pia no puki. Pien kilo ne no po barwate, bene pe chate ma be, wele pe war ma be. Ento upego ka do fuki o ma be. Ene don ngo, one upego, one farm don why karane do ro meter ne chuk. Anita do upego ma do kero fuki don ma be. Uramatera de chuk, abititi how. Muhozi gi, gini Museveni gi, gini mafia gi, guwachi, gino miragi kwang timu ne ena ye, kwanyu kwa pachwa nite makiluoni ya Magogo ni yoko. The first thing they want to do is take away the life of Magogo, Anita's husband, Triple A's husband. Okay? They want to bring her to her knees. While that happens and she was wallowing in tears, all of the crimes that Anita Among has committed will all come back to life. Kaki tiro kwanyu kwa pachwara makiluoni Magogoni. Mabeno chamu chana madira tai Football Federation, Confederation of Football, kora nga gini. Actually, Magogo has tons of other cases, including match fixing and stealing a lot of money made for the Football Federation. All of those crimes are on the table. Museveni has the file of all of Anita Among's troubles. And they're coming. They're coming in droves. So after her husband has been taken away, lost his life basically, all of Anita's crimes, including what's her name? Nandutu. Nandutu is in prison, remember, for corruption and Mabati thief and something that had to go to Karamoja. It is the reason Anita Among is sanctioned. The same crimes that make Nandutu in prison today and Anita Among out is the same crime that caused the sanctions, corruption, one of them, okay? Several other corruption cases such as the Mpuga deal where Anita Among was behind giving Mpuga the 500 million. All of those, even if they were ordered or Museveni instructed Anita on how to weave those crimes, they are no longer, nobody else is responsible except the executor, who is Anita Among. All those crimes are coming back to life. After Magogo has been killed, they want to put Anita in a position between two walls where she cannot reveal all the dirt she has done with Museveni. All of the things that Museveni has sent her to do, Anita will not be able to talk about. Because if she opens her mouth, she already has several crimes of corruption on her. She has already lost her husband. She already tested positive for poison. Anita will be like this. And all of you who depend on her will have no access to her because Museveni wants her gone, going, gone. It is serious. So, Anita Among kadong kwa pachwara ke kwanyo. Museveni meti balpa Anita o weng maberu charu Jemi maki or Anita ni uteme. Mo beru kwa lumbati mo maki weki te karmoja ni. Piana Anita ununge ni tiki bal gene tiki bal mau temo mau we pero peki ye chere lo mo kana chala America. Gien maki luoni sanction ti Anita. Anita mong pero mo bini America. Anita mong pero mo chere Europe. Tie lobo mau kwara Anita mong ngopi bal ma eno temo pe corruption ikom dano me Uganda. So Anita pero mo chere wa ka mo keken. Gina Museveni miro era ye meketo Anita I box kuma enini. Ikin gina rio ma Anita pero mo dire pero mo yueyo. Komberi chawani Anita kiwachi uchamo ya poison ma Museveni poko juini. Piano cherchi pime unoni poison ti kome. Aya kimet kitopa chware maki wai kibineko koni. Pien chware ben la kuo mata chene maki kere fufa ko fifa gini. Weng no kinoni kuchama tata. Anita mong ena yo beru la mi chene million mi a bit born poga I parliament. Record me I parliament ma aki office pa commissioner ma nyurni Anita mong kwalu chene di chenki di wo pire kene duanta. Anita mong tie ki lonyo ma petipte. Pero mo nyang ni dano ma ti Uganda tie ki kori lonyo eni. O weko wang muhozi ki kwa o pian muhozi wa kori mutoka ma Anita okelo ma kilwoni Rolls Royce ni. Mutoka pa Queen ba? Buru ngeni Rolls Royce mutoka pa Queen. Mutoka eni ka ke yuwu achelo nyo ario nyo beach imwaga achel. Pian mutoka cha ena kilwoni bells and whistles di. Jummi weng ti ye. Kai beru kuman chako temo massage koi komi. Kai wachi dira kuman idiu meri button jara gimoni kanyi diu loke loka kuman. Kai miro loke wako teriwa wako bene loke. Dogo la pa mutoka cha yape kilong. Rolls Royce uberu mutoka pa Queen. Mutoka pa Jome Europe and Kabaka me Europe. Ena ye mutoka Rolls Royce. Kabaka me Buganda. Tieki Rolls Royce. Mono beru mutoka ma pien kaba kita wachikere ni Buganda beru organize karma lach. Jami giu beru ka wad ma be pi karma lach. Mutoka ma kirien ni beru bi beru meet manaka yang chon. Chi I Buganda mutoka ma kilwoni Rolls Royce tie. Makane ma Anita ukatiki mutoka enu ni. Muhozi ukatichi wachi ujane. An manaka yang kuona pia beri kori mutoka enini. Babana maanangi babana mo beru babana pe maka piera bich werioni pe yo beri mutoka enini Anita mong chako katiki mutoka nini ning unyano tien lulonya ko dong ba Anita ugero argangi kacha beri wai State House unero gang pa Anita mauteri e joni ko weng wega wachi wuni tie Daruma Gine. Hi Kim, thank you for sharing that. Tie Daruma Gine ma Museveni gi ukwanyo kwogi ikare ma ena kiluni prime ni. Prime no do stage ma iromu yeni okay. Andong ba da kwodong ti mabede da. Kada bi medekere do abi medekere mot piendong paro muche me dok chen tutwal. Anita mong kakenyu dong. Ti jomu kene bene ma ento tek di odil tap Museveni tuki chair go dugi ping. Museveni ti we got eno ne makilwoni gena ne. Makilwoni peak. Inge peak ena ye keketi God money ti eku. Ento we mala de da. Kamala malo kilwoni peak. Museveni ko na ne indo etika cher kuntu twale ka ena etika ka itia tijichie tek do etika prime unyo peak kamoni ni kamano jamitima be tutwal mainoni ka iche baby che tutwal dogere baby dogola chan waka wachi baby dogola chan kito no yang inge pol down ti mateka deda iho kamoni chi wachi okay da no ni kan kamati yeni peda romo doctor tutwal I don't matter me dan yim nyorom gikakan chi a very fine. Look na beru mabe one wing beru mabe yela mai kan pe. So joma ka kenyu kwogi ki kwanyo ko. I'm saying that for the most part in Museveni's world in Uganda, people who have worked with Museveni and have gained and have reached some sort of peak or have reached a prime. Prime, I'm trying to say, where somebody feels like, you know what, I've reached here. I don't think if I slip, I'll fall too hard, or I'll lose so much, or my family will go back to zero, or, you know, or if I stay here, I'm comfortable. I can take care of it from here. Or if I go up, it'll be well and good. If I don't, I'm okay right here. So Museveni has seen that when people have worked under him and have reached that stage whereby you take him for opening ceremony of your house, or you open your company, or you go and say, oh, President, look what I've done, including bringing the Rolls Royce. That was a place where Anita should have been humble about and maybe not reached. And I'm talking a few steps back. This is not the right place where she should have thought twice. But because she's here, she's in her prime, she's at her prime stage, the best ever. Muhoozi came out and said, you know, I have never sat in a Rolls Royce in my 52 years. And I know for a fact that my father, who has been my father in 52 years, has never sat in a Rolls Royce. A Rolls Royce is a car for royalty. And it doesn't mean royalty of just the kingdom, of the United Kingdom. No. Rolls Royces are made in England. Yes. They used to be made for the royal family. But people like Steve Harvey's and, you know, the who's of the world now have a Rolls Royce. I get that because they can afford it. Those vehicles are made in limited editions and numbers. They're not like Toyotas, which are produced like, I don't know, 5 million every 3 months. No. Rolls Royces are made precisely to taste of those people who have earned that taste. Earning meaning you have worked for it, not corruption like Anita Among. So she got the car and pissed off the people who gave her the opportunity. So it's time, because Anita is now fat enough to be slaughtered. I was referencing in Acholi that a farmer of a pig does not take the pig to the market before it's fat enough. The goal of farming or pig farming is to have an animal worth some money. When you slaughter it, its weight is good enough to bring you best income possible. And Anita has arrived there. According to the Muhoozis, Anita has already ingested poison. She refused to go out to North Korea or some part of the other world because she's trying to stay in and win the speakership against Norbert Mao. I don't know if there are other people at play yet, but if they are, there is such a thing. Okay? She refused to go out for treatment and invited doctors to come in because she has the money. Again, this is the money from those people who are pissed off. Okay? So, after Magogo is taken away, all the corruption cases will be brought to life because they don't want her to speak of all the evils she has helped the Musevenis do. For herself, personally, some of things she has executed on her own. Most of it she has executed on orders. But this is the Chisanja. This is the time they need to clear evidence. He wants to pave way for his son Muhoozi to take charge. As foolish as he might be, Museveni thinks that maybe as he stands on one leg, he may succeed somehow. Like I said, these people are in a place where they either have to die in power or die in power. Because as soon as they are not in power, they know that even their chicken will not survive in Uganda. Their chicken will not live in Uganda. Everything Museveni will be erased permanently if they are no longer in the leadership. That is why Museveni came half a human being to Kololo to swear in on a position that he stole the election. The results were not pronounced. Everything about the swearing in was rogue. Everything was rogue. And everybody who came to witness, everybody's whispering, swi, 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 because they know the illegitimacy of the whole thing. President Tshisekedi of Felix of Congo. I mean, some of you have to see it to believe it. He was advised not to come because Museveni and Kagame are pissed off for him trying to get, for getting Kagame in trouble by the accord that was signed with President Trump of the United States. Because he did not honor it, President Kagame and a lot of his executives have been sanctioned. They can't travel. So, because of that anger, and knowing that Museveni is Kagame, they're basically just, one is a shadow of the other, he came anyway to Uganda for Museveni's swearing in. And so, Museveni and Kagame swore that Tshisekedi will not leave the same way he came. But he was warned. We made sure he got the message, but he didn't listen. So, in the next few whatever, you will hear of ailments of President Tshisekedi and this, that, and the other, because he had special treatment given to him by M23. The same soldiers who were pissed off by him expelling them from Congo. We can only do what we can do. Okay? I just do what I can. We do what we can. But I'm telling you, Ugandans, don't lose faith. Don't lose hope because you are best positioned. I will stress the fact that your camp of change, I use my right hand because you are strong. You are powerful. You have time. You have lost everything. You are hungry for change. You are staring at a crumbling country. You can do this. You have no stain of blood on your hands. You're not guilty for stealing anything. In fact, you are right and righteous. You are in the best shape possible. Going on to this camp, they've stolen so much. They've committed so much crime. They are they are evidence in every sort of crime document that has been filed anywhere. Museveni Muhoozi does not miss on any human rights violations document that has been filed all over the world. They are in videos. I mean, we have information. We have so much against these people. The last thing they have is time. Museveni is half a human being now. When Museveni has to get out to be in public, he has vitamin shots like crazy. He's probably given shots of adrenaline just to keep him up on a string for a little bit. The reason why he walks with his daughter or he takes his daughter to events and this and that is because his daughter is the only one who can serve him food. His daughter is there because in case he falls, she can help rescue him. In case he falls. Look at the plans when Museveni has to go anywhere. They plan for diapers. They plan to change his catheter. They plan to make sure his hand's looking right. They plan to make sure he doesn't fall. They plan to make sure he has the shots of adrenaline or vaccines, whatever to keep him powerful, strong. They have to plan on what he's going to say. He has to rehearse it like 500 times. They plan on what is he going to eat. They plan on his toilet following him. They plan on his meal, who is going to serve him, who is going to eat it. While this successful camp that wants change, you just get up and go. You walk free. Museveni cannot walk without that popcorn container. You are free. You get up and go. You are hungry. You want change. Okay? You want change. Somebody's calling me stupid woman. Oh boy. Anyway, I'm not even going to pay attention to that. But I'm saying, Atika Wachi, one job mamiro change Uganda. Watiki Jemmy Weng is side wa. Jemmy Weng tika wat mabe. Pian gimawa pe. Benekawa warpe waluo. Benekawa kawa mero gimani. Wacher wacham kita iwa mero. Kay go kang Museveni ko bo aki gang e becher kamo ke ken. Di wo maru di kone. No kitujuki gene. No kitujuki yat wa bed ma gene. Makoma yacht. No ki mier ki planning ni diaper do muzee buchar wako mier ki ket diaper kenyo mier ki mi gina katera pien gina lai ki tube kunyoni mier ki ket katera kenyo mier ki planning ni anga mo bo pero deka bo beru deka anga mo bo gina bo mi dek koni ko poro kono anga mo bo cher ka jolo ne ko bo poro wane mo kono chi mo ne mu gome ugena u re yar ye utuj mabe kainen kong Mask, au kero wunu mask, choka beach kenyu, pian miere ki bo wango, pian ka ki wel wang, tuolu kweni ka kamera mago, beri wai muzee, memwaka miere yo, ki gang kacha. Miere no wang ki bo go, away department, man neno ni Museveni miere katikin down, chok department Pierre Beach. Ma miere ket powder wang, we kong wang nena bebe, ma miere kon, yup gina, ye wang, we obeta bebe, wane kong miere ki yup la kirmani kenyu. I mean, in kay go mero kampa Museveni, mano Museveni bukati kindano. Camp wa ma mero change ni. Bene nino ma gimama baru ipe, pian gimoni gidi pe. Kacha me wari ta. Museveni pero mo wad la boy container money ma en beri eni. In kay bi wekoka SFC ayobo mare ma ngeni no iti target. Kape miri kita iyo mero ichero ka moy ken. Museveni penni ano kunyoni ya. Museveni kwa pidakira ma enti yeni. Kada ho ero tamu dakira muka na ni wai man dakira chani atime nining. Kajonu tema kuman kono. Atime nining. Museveni kwa pitien. Pien ngeni dire is not promised. Dire ni penge yu kono ngoma betime. Miero planning security jui. Miero lock security jui. Lock mati ene iye kunu bene kati jui. Kuneno? Museveni luoro wan Ugandan dong loyo gibon keken. Pien Museveni ngeni kachewa ti endong pe. Kachewa malo. Chi no endong pe. Pien keri tien eni tien nuchu dano. Wunu nge gira ke luoni nuchu. India ikwalo gimo. Keri ganke wechi kwalo dek. Ikero dek dogi. Ingeni chwinyi peramu pie. Wang ma dao katiwe. Chwinyi peramu pie. Museveni ukwalo kui. Chwinyi peramu pie. Pien wa jomo binu kaneno swearing in nani. Down weng tika kwe ledi. Down weng kwelo kita jali tika nen kere. It konke ken kay neno ni kay neno Museveni. Joma tika neno mo ay waka ni way. Oh yeah, John. Mwaka piera borge we. Fori mero nga. Tam ti we down. Down neno Museveni kitami wigi. People are looking at Museveni with thoughts. Have you ever looked at somebody who you cannot say something to, but your wheels are turning in your head? But that person knows that you know something, but you're just not saying it. That is Museveni's predicament. Everybody who looks at him has questions, has wheels turning in their head. But this guy is bold as something. Bold as something. That just has to show you that when you have somebody like this at hand, you know how much they fear you. Museveni fears Ugandans. That is why anytime he travels, 30 kilometers back and forth is sealed off. Nobody travels. It's the power of Ugandans. But most of all, the people working for Museveni must come out and do the right thing. Because like Anita Among, it is coming. It is coming. I have so much respect for certain people. I have. But when the time comes for these people to do dangerous things, they will. Honorable Mao, I have so much respect for you. But you are getting in the pockets of. I mean no disrespect, and I'll stop there. You know what I mean. Ati dan ma warge de da mati yuki Johnny. Ma nge nyimgi. Wanwe nyimgi. We all know their future. The ones working for Museveni. Anita Among's steps could have been told by anyone who has known Museveni for a while. For a while. But we just, you know, when you say something so much that you just let it be, and to be so short-sighted that these people go into these things knowing what happened to their person before. They know. I use the father of my children a lot because I knew him and I respect him, and it's not because I disrespect him that I speak. He's an example because I knew him and I have so much respect, and I hope other people learn. Lokech, for example. He was rising up the ranks. He said something about being president. Museveni was like, what did you say? In a moment, he was gone. What type of ambition do you have that has a ceiling? How can you be in a place where you're not allowed to raise the ranks? Because Anita once mentioned, in fact, the fear of Museveni and Muhoozi is that Anita Among and her husband are preparing to become the next president and whatever of Uganda. As lousy as that sounds, that is the fear Museveni has. That is how much Museveni fears Ugandans. That he even has dreams, hallucinations that make him actually take action, like killing Anita Among and her husband. Hallucinations. I don't see Magogo being a president of Uganda. I don't see Anita Among being a president of Uganda because we will never choose Anita Among. But Museveni fears that. I don't know how. Uganda will never choose Anita Among for president. Even if Anita Among was the only qualified, let's say, even if Anita Among was the only one running against other Ugandans, Anita Among cannot win presidency. But to show you how Museveni is afraid, Museveni fears that the status of Anita Among could make her a president of Uganda and make his son lose his place before his eyes as president. You can imagine. That is how much these people fear us. Museveni luo adeda makomberi chani luor ne mawek meti nek and gina chwa Anita Among wakera Anita Among igene kama dingi pienta moni Anita Among kita dong tika dong kere kwane awaju lonyo kingongo gini Anita Among walk bed president oko ineno makuna Anita Among pebi loyo kui Uganda Uganda long kari Anita Among uchung en ki Ugandan mukene Anita Among pebi loyo kui meberu president Uganda ento eni nyuru kita luor mati diwi Museveni jocha luor wa makonye pe jocha luor wa majo wa mati monyi koneno romular wa kijami mogo we jocha luor wa en wa Museveni ko bichero kamoke keni no ki lor yo kilometer ye piera dek nyo piera beach no ki lor yo ko bier ngati moe ken po o choke jo pa Museveni ki Museveni kunyoni kari nyara tika wodon ki lor yo ko meno luoro. That is how much they fear us. Museveni ki tame ki diwe otamo goni Anita pien nenchale ni beda poya ba luo ni Anita romu beru president kita do Anita ulon kere kunyoni romu kwa lugina ko romu kwa nyukoma ko ki bod wode inke go ma Anita Among pe romu lon kui kaki keru kui me adani Anita Among pe loy kui ana romu chung against Anita Among pe loy kui Uganda pibal motimo kui ba Anita Among la ni cha anyaga mau etani chung opposition against Anita Among anyaga ni pingo peki mako Anita Among ukati unopposed ibukedia pingo pien ngatu mani mukene mano buloy kuini kitu kikwanyo kitorle bwa ikara manyaga ni kati dong dugu kama leng pien ki kwalo ko kita ki kwalo kere ki kere drone ki ter dane ba ki kwanyo kumenu ki ter nyago ni ki logo wiye ki goyo ki timni ning ikara manyaga ni dugu ka lok madong wa yenya deda anyaga ni wachi ana bi wa kui ki antina Anita Among wata abi wa kui ire inero one wangeni Anita Among peromo kato kui meberu president ento Museveni ngeni twarutime meno kita Johnny luor wa kwede Ugandans ayumalo umeki wakilu meki mautimon au konywa do utimu kima alore kom loka Anita Among matera deda PM Anita Among ena a representation pa Uganda kupeti chawa ni darme anyoli me Uganda ti position pa Anita Among do bu beri position weng man Anita Among ti ye ti darma ti buj la boybal jo mi opposition pien ni gu agu wachi ana miru ngata pe Museveni mono rom tergi buj luteno maki maugi mauto duwa ta pien gu wachi gi miru Bobby Wine mono rom gita Anita Among per chani dongi wachi miru kinek chwara koni konene man la dit lobo me Uganda malu anyoli me Uganda da ginene in pero mtemone in ka ngarmo no bali te record that's it miru pay good kom ngati pay ticket where me good to ngati mo Ilobo mati advance kainini. Ngati mo eken mo nyeka ogura. Mapaye. Court ya. Igura pingo. Ina ye wachi bine. Ngati mo ma wacha. Keri chwala message mo wacha binere. Message yani romo. Ngati chani atwaya. Ilobo mati anyimwe. In Western world kan. In the Western world. Nobody has a right to tell you that it is time for you to be killed. No. In fact, if somebody sent me a text message with a threat saying, I'm going to kill you, that's enough to get them in jail. Attempted murder. That's it. These Museveni people and cronies, they think they can do anything to everyone. No. Somebody attempts that to me, sends me a message, I take that to the police, they are going to jail. Period. Nobody can touch me just because they want to. No, you touch me at your own risk. Because you're going to jail. I will sue, and that's it. Once I take you to the police, before they say you did it or not, you will be held at least for 24 hours. It's the law. It's the law. So, the representation of Anita Mong speaking to Muhoozi at the swearing-in ceremony depicts exactly where Uganda is, where Anita Mong represents Ugandans and Muhoozi represents the refugee camp at State House. And all that they do, everything they stand for is in that man. Standing and not even worth, Anita is not worth Muhoozi's eyes while he talks to her or she talks to him. That is where Uganda is. Killing of Magogo symbolizes killing Ugandans. So it is up to Uganda to do something. I've spent a lot of time on that. But let's get to the next things. So I told you about what they said about, what Museveni said about no sleep and no more corruption. No more corruption, referencing Anita Mong and other people. All those people working for Museveni, Museveni has something on them, including religious leaders. As I mentioned a few weeks ago, religious leaders who become the who's in religion in Uganda they start in Luwero, because in Luwero is where Museveni grooms the next leaders of the religious sect. I'm talking mostly about the Protestant church, the Kazimba Mugalus type people. Okay? The saved groups and all that, those denominations, because obviously for the Catholic Church it's different. It doesn't come from everywhere. So what happens in Luwero to those religious leaders upcoming, Museveni is raising into positions. What Museveni does is he gets them entangled with young ladies in some hotel or bar or something in Luwero. And those ladies are staged by the Musevenis. Those ladies are on a mission to go and do those things, recording videos, and those videos are shared with the Musevenis. That is why they can never come out and speak the truth. You have never heard religious leaders going to visit the people in prison. The National Unity Platform people in prison have never been visited by the religious people. They're always on Museveni's string being yanked like this. So I say that to say that Museveni, all the people he's working with who are Ugandan, Museveni has something dirty on them. Something. Even the ones who are not in the religious sects. Some of them have had people dead and thrown in their courtyards. Some of them have been caught in some major crime. Some of them have actually killed people. Somebody like Chameleon, he's an artist. That one helps the explanation because he's far out there. He's not a civil servant or anything. Museveni has a history that Chameleon killed a person. Anytime Museveni wants Chameleon to do something, he says, do you remember that case? I still have it. Do you want me to wake it up? And then he gets Chameleon to do exactly what he is. That is why sometimes when you see these people talking, they sound empty. They're not speaking from their soul. They're hollow. They're just saying things. This person knows I'm live. I don't know why he's calling me. You know, so it is, I feel sad for those who are still climbing that ladder because Museveni will kick it. Like he's kicking Anita Among now. That ladder will get kicked, eventually you'll fall. Atika wachi, jo ma Museveni ti yu kwet Guinea. Peti ngati mo ke ken ma peki, lok, ma chilu, ma Museveni ti kere kome. Museveni pero promoting dano ma en peki, lok, ma chilu kome. Chalo lulega Anglican Church ma don doni. Ka Museveni ubu kero ngatu mani position me berla dit churches mogoni. Kong wego ko timu gimok maraj kong time komi. Chalo cho ma uberu Anglican Church ludire me Anglican Church kunyoni. Tie kamoni magi chako kere grooming gen ki chako ponyugi me beru position ene. Iluero kacha. Awinyi kunu uberu baba na tiye. So geno Museveni timu ormon ma urokala kermani kenyu enjo slay queen. Gichero giti kom Anglican ludire cha ma tek no ke mako video. Videos ene gitar bon Museveni. Eno weko kunyoni. Peti ngarmo matika aki Anglican Church mo beter lo da. Dan sale bujingo. Da cho me security pa bujingo. Utoy ching bujingo make wai bujingo yo chelo. Video ene ti bon Museveni. Man bujingo pero mo tietu lok paruba ma pero ateki lok pa Museveni. Pero mo. Bedong logo lo kacha tane ken. Pien video tie kacha. Tie down magoma kino Museveni ne odano kamani ukelo bolu lieli dikal. Ka police ubino no ka kichoy ping ni liel kino gang pangari manyuti ka ichira da ngate ni miero bed ngo me imabuch. Ento pien Museveni boy okay bin kan amito wati ka chel we case enini akero betchen. Kare mo ke ken mangato eni dong mero wachi andong pa mero teach eni ba andong pa mero Museveni wachi idegi na wachi ni we akel gin chane iponi down weng beda wea tie lok mo ma down waju makati ma logo minera dani ngate ni nanchalo poba adanga tika batu loka kuman ngate ni adada ine ni pien ki wiye kacha wachi da to ka wai padati me kumantia to tie jo mo ma Museveni wachi abineri Pasta kakande no maberu Kampala kenyini. Pasta kakande unu winye. Pasta kakande ugu wapinyi Museveni kichoe. Ma Museveni ukero muduri wiye kumae. Pasta kakande. O mula kichoe gene dako na State House. Museveni payot. Petie la tela mo ke keno nyongari mo ma Museveni ti yuke di matek. Ma peti bal mo ma Museveni umare iye. Pati file office pa Museveni. Matie kuman majui wachi ko inen kong wipo kong chwali message wai inen gini wipo. He sends the messages when he tells these Christian people to do something and they refuse. Pastor Kayanja was brought to his knees in State House with his wife when they refuse to do something for Museveni. People get tired. How much evil can you do? As soon as somebody says, you know what, I'm done, please let me go, Museveni says, do you remember this? Do you want me to relinquish this? And when that is your livelihood, imagine a pastor whose videos or nudes will get released. Can you picture that? What else does he have to live for after that? None. So anyways, everybody who is working for Museveni has something on you and it will come out. The longer you stay working for him, remember that at any one time, it will be up to him to eliminate you. So you can cut this short, take the embarrassment and do the right thing, or continue working with him and he will kill you at your prime. Your prime, not his. It's up to you. Keep working for Museveni. We'll bury some more people. Okay? All right. About the Chisanja, the next thing they want to do is make Rwandese a language taught openly in Uganda. They want to make Chinyarwanda a language of Uganda. They want it to be taught in schools, at churches, spoken on radio and on TV. They are also going to heavily promote their cultures. the Rwandese culture is going to be openly promoted now in Uganda without any worry, without any shame. This is the term they want to do it. Rwandese services in church will now be allocated a separate time where sometimes they will cancel the English service and only have the Rwandese service so that if you want spiritual anything, you must attend the Rwandese and somehow people will get to learn it. That's what they hope. Anybody who refuses to entertain this Rwandese manyanga will be dealt with. Anybody. But like I said, all of these religious leaders have already been compromised by slay queen nude videos or somebody dying or somebody they killed or somebody placed in the yard. Okay? Main services, songs and praises are now going to be in Kinyarwanda. In churches, main services will be in Kinyarwanda. The songs and praises will also be in Kinyarwanda. On events like introduction ceremonies and such things, they will promote the Kinyarwanda language, their culture, their attire. People will just start to wear these things just like that. I used to have, no, I did not. It was a Mushanana. I think a Mushanana is from Western Uganda. It's a Ankole tradition. I love the Ankole culture. I do. Absolutely adore it. And we were meant to be like this, that you can choose to love any language, tribe, whatever. I grew up in a neighborhood where I had neighbors from all parts of Uganda. All parts of Uganda. I moved on so many different places. I went to boarding school. I had friends, you know, dormitory mates or whatever from all different tribes. Uganda is beautiful and we were meant to love each other and maybe learn even all the languages there is and dress up anyhow. There should be no limitation to say this is only for this part of Uganda and the other one's only for the other part and the other for the other. No. One Uganda long no mira bit kachel. La boya poga poga. La boya poga poga. Me wachi nyankole berukuman. Baganda berukuman. Actually mira berukuman. Lugwara mira berukuman. No. One way mira no bit kachel. A poga poga bino ki bot Museveni gi. Pienjo ma an poga kin gi no ni tiche. Oh, Zuleika, thank you. So the Mushanana is an Ankole attire. I'm going to pick up one. Maybe next time I'll come in one of them. I love those gowns. I love them. But anyways, Atika Wachi, let me translate before I forget where I'm going with this. Atika Wachi kuberichawa ni gen madong gitika planning. Guwachi lep Rwanda and lep tuol gine. Dongi mete gifonyo I Uganda go weng gangkwan kama lotina kwana ye don kibi fonyu lep kibi ker lep Rwanda bena beru way lep Luganda mayang ki fonyu gangkwane church bedong lega buberu service man buberu ki lep Rwandese I radio bedong kunyoni kibi logo lep Rwandese radio atie dong ba Johnny do ka te go me beru do bera ye kibi merte mujemi dong la bonya kala I TV kibi beru ki kanyuto program ki lep Rwanda mogu program pa Rwandese Rook ki cham ki beru chalo ki we ki ngongo gini don wen ki bi intro ki bi kelo go I church I odlega mogo be beru ko ne gangkwani ki bi beru ki ngo jemi mat leb Rwanda unyo rook pa Rwanda unyo kwa ke da Rwandese kwa ke de do ki bi kelo ga tie gangkwan lutin wu char gangkwan dugu ki leb tuol no don ngi lokone lega madon Uganda services and like service mecha angwen pon de dani Kodi service ena yeki bikeri ye lep Rwanda. Kape mir cher chani yani chikwari. Kai mir cher kalega wangade cher lego ki lep tuol gini. Neno. Keri nyang keri pe nyang dong ki biberu ki megini. We buberi lep Rwanda. Lega mukana buberi lep Rwanda. I gene I party mogo buberi wa I party megene. Menyom gini. Ki biberu katemo mogo ki lep Rwanda. Dong ki biberu kachatu bongi menyom ki bongi pa Rwandese. We better pull that I can ping Pian ki mete dongo dan ngiyo go ki lok me Rwanda ki lep Rwanda ki kwapa Rwanda ni where go bed Rwandese ki pian ki tam ki mete Uganda betalu district pa Rwanda neno ki mete Uganda be district magena eno be ki telo ni pe wana e watelo where one wa woti to gien gi woti nywal gi woti nyeme Uganda neno TV and my programs mo ma open na TV chal news ki ngongo gini dong wen ki mete ki lok mod do dok pe lep Rwanda ke ken pingo ki timu kumeno ki mero to ki wi psychology. They want to mess with the psychology of Ugandans that you know when you see something very often You get used to it. You see it. Your mind, your subconscious mind, your brain takes it in. You get comfortable. You feel like, oh, this is normal. You know, when you rise to a new normal, like a big change happens in your life, you know, you lose someone, somebody loses a spouse. You tend to just get used to the single life again, or whatever the case might be. You know, you have a child, you get used to having a child. You have 2 kids, you get used to having 2 kids. In your mind, it settles in and says, you know what, this is normal and it's okay. I'm going to continue living this way. So, give me a get to the way down Uganda. Where okay, look, maybe Rwandese, kono leb Rwanda, kono roge, kono we down okay, keep it dong mot. Maka inano dong pedong tamani gimoti atime Uganda. Ento ki what in neko down mati Ugandans. Gin what in nyal, gi what in mete Uganda. Pien ki tam gi mete Uganda be district pa Rwanda. Ento no gina ye loyo. One Uganda miro a bit pere. Unano. Mero psychology. Media center, the media center of Uganda has gotten a lot of money and contract to prioritize these Rwandese emulsions. And make lu jempa Rwanda ni kimi contract ma did but media center me Uganda. Mono ruping gidong bene radio magulu ni there's a big radio station in Gulu. Dennis, if you could remind me. You know, those things, those places are going to be, hold on just a minute, please. Okay. All right. I was checking something. I'm also working somehow remotely. So they want to mess with the psychology of Ugandans so that we get used to it. Give me a tea. Oh, wonder. Zuleika, that's wonderful. That's a good one. I'll use it next time. They give me a tea. We don't need okay nan. Okay, nano gimoni. Chao weng. Modo we. Unyo ka kuoni ula kala kiramone chalo jo ka kete jo ma puru bunywa latien me achel. Kai tiki latien. We la kiramone ngiyo go kiberu mego nyo wego. Ingiyo kede. Gimoni ko kati manyen. Kwa mani ko kati manyen. Kai nano uri modo we mai ngiyo kede wachi ngeba. Mane ne don kwa manyen. Don wa meta kede yela mo kan pe. Eno no gi meta ki ne kudano ki gen nyual me kwanyo lobo Uganda. Kiwi wego gine ni beru. It's going to be compulsory that those events about Rwandese emulsions will have to happen. Anybody that disobeys will get eliminated, as always. Okay? The next, I have a few more to go. I know it's been long. Sorry about that. Hold on 1 second, please. All right, sorry about that. Moving on. The next thing they plan to do is to destroy the ghetto. Most of the destruction that is going on in the different parts of Uganda, their main focus is Buganda. They want to try to eliminate the youth. The youth is their main. In the speech that Museveni said at Kololo during the swearing in, where he referenced having talking to Bazukulu. You know, we're not Museveni's Bazukulu. In fact, we don't care for him. But he said something like to the reference of the Bazukulu are making the wrong choices or decisions and keep hitting their heads. And he says that he's going to deal with them. Don't take that lightly because he means it. Atika wachi Museveni wachi plan gitieni geto mati Kampala ni. Ine anokera ketor kere ori ni. Ketor mere ori mukene wego bed mere gene. Wego bed mere chalo gena. Hold on just a minute, please. Hello? Hey, I'm not at Kano, but I'm on a live video. Yeah. 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 Can you take her? I can be there at 1 o'clock, but can you take her to, I think the event starts later. But ask her and let me know. Oh. Yeah, I'll need you to bring her to town. Okay. Yeah, I think you have time. Yeah. Awesome. Okay. Bye. Boy, am I busy. It just started, but that's okay. Anyways, so just like they did to, I grew up in Nakawa, so I know this firsthand. There was a time when there was a plan all of a sudden that was drawn by the government, Museveni and their people. Amama Mbabazi, I think, was one of them, where they said that they promised all of us who are residents in Nakawa. Hello, Don. They came out and said, we want to rebuild Nakawa flats and Nakawa area. So we want everybody to, write down their information and, let us know where they're going so that we can plan. Once we rebuild Nakawa, we will bring you guys back into the properties that we're going to build in Nakawa. They built a fence around Nakawa. Until today, it's a bush. There's nothing has happened with Nakawa. It is just the same. The same thing they did they put a fence in Katanga, Chimombasa, Nachivubo. They did that in Chiseka. They did that in Zambia. And they did that in Naguru. The reason they do things like that is because they want to get the youth out of the city. Eventually, their big wigs from Rwanda are going to come in and take up space in those places. The goal of breaking houses, because they don't want to just break one. In fact, Katikiro wants to destroy and take over Busawala beach of His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. That Katikiro is involved. You remember there was a saga one time about that land in the Kabaka, and it was resolved and there was no issue because, the president is Kabaka's son. Eventually, now that things are rolling in their way, Katikiro has been given the assignment to make sure Busawala is destroyed completely. Now, just so that it doesn't look like they're only focusing on Bobby Wine's home, they are going to break every other person surrounding Busawala to try to look legit. To make this look like it's a normal thing, it would happen to anyone. It doesn't matter if it's Bobby Wine. They want to take charge of Busawala and plow it down. Everything that His Excellency and Mrs. Barbara Kyagulanyi put together is going to be destroyed at Busawala. And we don't know yet, but they want to take over that land. So in the ghetto areas, because Museveni wants to deal with the youth, like he said, he's going to shove them out of the city and get those places fenced off and growing weeds for no reason. They're not going to be used. They're not going to be rebuilt. They're just going to be fenced off and they will grow weeds like Chiseka. Those places were never redeveloped. Nakawa was never touched. But soon, after they have a big plan, a good plan of what they're going to do, you will see their people coming in to occupy those spaces. Okay? I did talk about Anite already. So what they want to do with Anite, because they don't want her to speak or talk, they're going to kill Magogo. They're going to talk to her about the sanctions. She's likely to go to Luzira, where Nandutu is, because Nandutu is on a case where Anita Mong was also. Okay? She has also tested positive for poison. So that's Anita Among. The next thing is, because they hate the fact that we are talking about Janet's demise a lot. So they're putting up a lot of diversions to see that, I forgot to mention this. Kileba choli na ti wati, wunjo ama oberi ya choli kwata, uberi tung Nakawa kacha, acholi mapolo uberi tung kunu. Wunu wi upo kitradicamento, bino kere wachi, wunu oki gan inini, wek wa go ge o wen chi wa yup ori banyen wek dugu beri ye ento wi uponi watin wadire ki kero mere fence kunu luma yeti ka don kunu we gimo ke ken magamento timu pi area meni nakawa tung na gur go down gini gimo ken pe chiman kuberi chani gimite gitim jami enini I area mukene chalo Katanga na Chivubo Chimombasa Kiseka Nsambia ki nakawa kamukene nakawa kinaguro gimite gimede ki riem mudano ko ki Kampala gina gimiro eno gimite gi riem dano ko ki Kampala wek Kampala dong nono igi Nerwe jami makuman ka ochake ki Kampala wun ki jomu ki kamukene kwora piano be when these things begin to happen in Kampala, the rest of you in the outskirts or in different districts, just hang tight, it's coming. They are planning to spread like they did with the Balalo, now infiltrating all over the rural areas of Uganda, like in northern Uganda. The Balalo are everywhere, okay? So, Gineani, gubi meta kiti mune kitoro ori padano, ori mugumati tengyo, kibitoro pian gimete wunu doko kay charo. Uchiberi charo mirngoy town. Town weng ori matie makiti tor nani, iponi kitole pap, ngata nyan biro kero jemine kenyu. Manyu de kitika Rwandese kitika mini kika beru, ikamano young Ugandans tiye, pian gimete gina egi law city. Gina egi law, ma ena ki diru wucherne ki wote neko dano. Joma wigi tek iponi ki pe dano mo ma do to pien gi kwer ni ki tu origi Kampala kacha duonta iponi pocho iponi ki wai no charity udene ako dano mo cho di ko mo charity cha udene ni ma kun no pe ko mo pe ni ti mo ni Kampala kacha ki tu rote ki no ti wi ya ti ka gene uta ko dong I cha udene ni kuni I mar chai I ruke maleng I wati we ka charity legi ka chere gene ni a chere chi medikiti dan mano ine ani ayela mo aba with mo kian mo beru kere bere pe chao dene ni no chaka ni Johnny kwanyu dano ki ka mo ken ki chere ki deo wek dano nge ni dano ka ti peko we ko po wi jo mo ken ni kai ti matata chi biye ina no so gidek ben ni we meta ki lokki Janet man gitika kelo diversion mapola deda down chalo bujingo obokelu gene money kere kenyu conference money kololo kenyu wek ngo wek down bet ka lokka ko da lokka conference ni ko nga bo bir ko ngo ini ne ro kita lok mo ma chill ma konye pe ti u ber mere radio ko radio mega gi ko kwen lok ma pe download bo lok ma pe tiu gin en gi jame ani gi temu no gi ngeyo pien wun Uganda ka wi wu cha ko tiji wa ko tiji da ko te ko Kuni ko chao penyi we need pinga titor marka titor gene ori padano ti we wu chao tit si utor gamente gyoko gimete ubed ma we upetiu ma pobi nyamlok ma pobi tambe pobi questioning gi moy kena Museveni waju very way gospel do yeah way okay la dit lo bodo waju mor miu po ye gi moy kena John waju au pen we wu au nyamlok au penye kenu adamo gini mono Kogo ko tem kon ko po kon ka money upo ki ka mukerne pingol don lo pe kin ching jo manually me Uganda why mon kacha lu mon mati Uganda manually me Uganda but what you woni gen ki mau ki dak marach ba in la mon Uganda I beri uniport ma burano o lenge kuma ento ka ki kero SFC la mon manyen ma aki Rwanda awobe mo me mo apara bungwan no at ma en buru ye manaka yang pe now Jami me art knock me in a wang. Inity art much really touch. We whoop at you. Ugandans yabwanguba. Gini ni tika wang ka waji mon. Ini go kama inity Boss mo binu manyen. Boss yani timu jami wang. Boss yani da ini charaka yenyu loki bore kuno ini boss Tika timeka wang I jami wang. Pay mon keken. Johnny do bini wa me daya. Gubini wa makape wa lwenye matekwe lutela wabo mende kito kari food one yi wa yom daga mani konyo tangalo kono tengelo something like that tika wachi omiere wana chuli waneni wanen kitek weng work speakership kimi ching acholi Okay. Aye. Fine. Okay. Take me actually. Actually, di ma uno ne ma reposition enone. There was a lady who's called Otangalo from northern Uganda. She speaks Acholi. There was a video that somebody shared with me where she's highly recommending that two more big positions be given to Acholi people. But like I told you, a farmer who has pigs can only slaughter them when they're fat, because that's when they gain the most. I'm telling you, you are begging for a position now. In a few years, we'll be burying. What is the point? Utika leku position kuberichawani. Inge mwari adek no wati liel, wati koko. Konye ngo, psycho leni beng pobi tuche. O miera wati beru kingari money a bill. Utawaga wa wati koko. One pa waromu yupe meneno ni kadong gamenta uloke waromu beru ki dana Piera Beach, mapigi tego. Wamira chela rio. Mon rom wakiyeo. I'm saying that even if they actually are hungry for somebody in high positions, you know, speakership or whatever, what is the difference? Because in the next 3 years, we may be burying that person. The next 3, 4, 5 years, we may be burying that person. What is the point of enjoying now and crying soon after? Why don't we just make a change so that we have 50 plus representatives in high places where we can live freely and enjoy and not worry about a burial ceremony soon after? Doesn't that make sense? Pekong wa wachi wan wa miti wa kajami lake wa lok jami we kal tela tie tela bed no pit ngatu money keru pa ngatu money ni ngatu eni tuero ginini ucheri ye ubed ki down Piera Beach man obere yik pay plan man yim man yik to beri plan future pa Ugandans when everybody in Uganda has a future, a burial in their near future. Why? As soon as somebody rises up the ranks, they're gone. Why? Why don't we have wealthy people living to 90 years like Museveni? Have you seen any wealthy person living to 90? Talk less of political positions where it's a few years. We need change. Let's change our minds, change how we do things, achieve new results. Walok tamwa, walok teachwa, wanen result manyen. Yik pedon ko very future wa. Anyimwa po bet ke yik. Man ngarumani chair donyo office. Pingo peti la lonyo mo mati mwa Pierre bongwen I Uganda. Pingo peti la tela mo mati mwa Pierre bongwen wako Moses Ali. Why? Why don't we have the Olanyas living for 90 years, wealthy, seen their life, done well, do something for their community, but all a successful life is cut short. Cut short. Even if a child wants to move the thing forward, it is impossible. Because as soon as Anita gets in this trouble, even the Rolls Royce is going to be taken by Museveni. That Rolls Royce of hers. Even the house she built in Bukedia, all of a sudden there's going to be a loan that she didn't pay. Blah, blah, blah. Anita Among will walk with slippers in the city of Kampala. If she walks, if she lives. There is not a wealthy Ugandan who has lived long. There is not a prominent, powerful Ugandan who has lived long. Petie la lonyo mo Uganda, mo beri lonyo neni, uri kwa. Petie la tela mo I Uganda, mo tela ma be, ma kwane uri. None. Weng to ma bene pekin yang tere. Anyway, next thing. Okay, I will, lastly, I'll talk about something else, but I want to highlight on a video that Museveni showed during the swearing-in ceremony. It was a video of a young man who is a farmer, a dairy farmer. His name is Kanyesige, of a dairy farm in western Uganda. That Kanyesige, this is to show you that these people promote themselves, they live for themselves, they care for each other, and not us out here. We could die for all we care. They're not going to care about how we do. In fact, at the time the Musevenis came, The first few years, when Ugandans were still here doing things, people were doing much better than they are now. In my village, my father had a grinding machine for flour and seeds for the villagers. My own dad, in 1990s, 80s plus, he had a grinding machine in Laguri, in where I come from. Today, if you are to look for a grinding machine, you may have to go to the next city just to grind flour to be able to have something to cook at home in the village. That goes to show that it is 2026 and Museveni is promoting chicken rearing as one of the successful projects in Uganda. I mean, where did we go from manufacturing things like sugar? We used to have sugarcane plants or sugar plants. We used to have soap factories. We used to have plastics. We used to have all these things. We don't have them anymore. Our president is praising chicken farming publicly, live on national television, when Kenya is doing AI and promoting all those things. In Uganda, the president comes out and talks about chicken farming. Museveni has walked Uganda back several steps. Atika wachi, video money Museveni ukatakere igene swearing in kacha kololo kacha. Kuntika fuano, logwagweno ki logwag diay dairy. Inge ge mar loke chaka dida. Inke go, imwaka eni alibario ki pure bicheli. Lobo muke anatika lokom cherry igene ipol. Muke anatika lokom cherry ilobo mapat. Muke anatika lokom computer matera dida AI anado katini. I Uganda watika war jomba gwako gweni. Watika war business ma gwako gweni talo gena dong loyo. Neno. Mayang and babana mayang food kwa in 1990 1980 gimani no tiki chuma rego ilaguri kacha chuma rego madano bin rego me mako ki ngongo gini me achama ikin gang man ku beri chani kay mer chuma rego maila di mer ka chet kong tu ket gum kacha ko gulu ko kwana kareku bakuli megene bel me achama kay go Museveni odwaro lobo Uganda chien makonye pe kai pora imwaga alibachel kipier bongwane wiye dano Uganda no tie mabe loyo komberi chawani adako. It is true. Uganda has been taken back further than the 1980s, further back. I mean otimutijma don Uganda embassy and orima kelwoni embassy mober oripa Uganda mano gene ambassador maki chwalo ki Uganda chero tiberi eni amino welo ori kichene ma welo gope ogamulon I di city ma don lobo I Paris I United Kingdom I America kan Uganda house tie di city ma mina yo welo ba ko berjani Museveni charo ori eni oli weng charo joma no charo borgini Jone. Ana wachi wini Museveni obiano wala bon pajama. Wala bon la te bon. Koperichani Museveni dong ti wonje me wengi. Wachi my oil. Jam me weng mat no ti Uganda gukwanyu. Weng. Diay pa jama no ti Northern Uganda ko Eastern kongo. Koperichani diay dong ti bodgi. No chaka nining. Down mo biano wala bon wa. Kwani diay na no ikwe. Iteke diay million adini. Ino kikwene. Wunjo actually ma oti open ni kono kibi mini compensation ko kikwaldi la ko diang do mini compensation. It's not going to happen. I'm saying that Museveni has taken us back several years. This is a guy who came without underwear. He came without shoes on his feet. If you see a picture of Kagame when he was languishing in Uganda as a refugee, the guy didn't even brush his teeth for years. These are the people who now have millions of cattle. And actually people are saying, we are waiting for our compensation for cattle. It's not going to happen. Because guess what? The same thief took your cattle. He's not going to refund it. This 5 million you talk about, do something else and try to grow yourself somehow. Petiye diaimo keken mo bodugi actually. We logo. Utim genu kene pian la kuo diang. Mayao bin wala boy. La teba. Ko bedichan tiki diang million. Chaka nini. Ugandans, whatever. We are strong, you guys. We are strong. We have it. We have time. We are brilliant. Our president still has a few cards left. Museveni is on pick play. Pick play, pick play. He's guessing where life goes next. Museveni doesn't know the next minute. Museveni doesn't sleep at night. Museveni is in a predicament that he knows. Museveni knows time is up. But because it is a matter of life and death, he has to make such moves. Because Museveni cannot leave this thing alive. He must leave dead. Nature will take Museveni. He cannot survive. And he knows it very well that his son cannot handle this. If Museveni's son could have handled it, he would have been the one swearing in that day. He can't handle. The guy is half a human being. You can tell Muhoozi is less a human being. Just the walking around. He's just, I mean, CDF, he can't handle his legs. The guy doesn't have the stature of a leader. He doesn't have the command of a soldier. He's walking around like, you have seen a soldier, okay? My father was a soldier. Respectable. I've seen soldiers out here. Even a young soldier has a stature that they stand and walk and they command the place. Not that guy. No. We've got this. Watiki tuero. Tuero wa, tuero padano. Johnny waromo alogeo. We can do it. Johnny karadongpe. Johnny ngeni. Niera guberike unyo gutoi doge. Wang magutopian Museveni ngeni tereyaki keli pap. Wagwano ne po bikuwa Uganda. Wagwano ne pe kuwa Uganda ya. Wabompa Museveni kibichwenyo kwa kibiwao. Jovati nyang ankole kacha kiti kuwa na kuwa. Gimoy ke wa State House yani kibiwa. Wunu nero Nepal. Ikare magamente loka Nepal. Kichar kichwenyo State House pate Nepal loko. You saw the changes in Nepal. The Prime Minister of Nepal went without grabbing a shirt. The guy was in a sleeveless undershirt. That is how these guys will go. They don't have power. And the Nepal guy was not as old as Museveni. Now imagine this old one. We can manage him. We still have some cards. What were Johnny? Giluor wadong loyo. Inke go Museveni peramu warikindano. Luoro watibune. Luo wa yangane. Museveni peramu neno. Museveni kwa pichawa enini. Penge yu kita chama nyanda buberu kere. Jemi wengma Museveni timu kit plan. Wunu yu kita gina ne olu kere dano. Inya iberu busy ma Jemi weng miere tik beru ka planning anyim. Museveni planning wa yamu muke anema miere gam. Ni aom mano. Aom. Ka omo beru ni. Ka omo beru ket kono. Ka omo ganu manu timagi mo kono. Ka omo chia tao kono. Ka omo chia por. Just omo yamo. Niero taking decision iwachi tika door parliament. Omo yama oma enini. Diwoki di cheng no Museveni tika fainting. No parolitai ki laro ki yamo. Oxygen. Bueno nero katan no ki tuju madaba. No ki tuju ke adrenaline yat ma duwa deda. We open magubutie. Jali don't pay ya. Anyway, let's go to the next thing. So that video of a dairy farmer. Tila ngarumani ma Museveni gunyuro video ne. Nila gwakdiyan. Tika temu dairy farm tungangi kacha igena I western. That dairy farmer who was presented by Museveni is called Kanyesije. The one who was presented on the video. On the swearing-in ceremony. The name of the guy who owns the dairy is called Kanyesige. The Kanyesige is the son of a former Kanyesige who passed away now. Okay? His mother, the mother of this Kanyesige who is on Museveni's video, who Museveni is praising for doing well in a dairy farm, his mother is a member of parliament of Mubende. Her name is Jovia Kanyesige. This is how these people do things. When you watch and see how they display these events, you can think that it's normal, that they're praising some Ugandans for success. But these are the people who raided northern Uganda and eastern of cattle and now are parading as the executive farmers. This dairy farmer guy. Get this. Kanyesige, the owner of the farm, calls Janet auntie. Kanyesige, who Museveni praised for having a successful dairy farm, whose father was called Kanyesige, who was part of the people who stole from the cattle from the east, from northern Uganda and eastern, is the guy they're praising now, who calls Janet auntie. Kanyesige is Janet's nephew. When the late Kanyesige, the older one, died, Janet attended the funeral personally because that was one of her brothers in the clan. When he died, okay, the siblings of this Kanyesige person are deep in the, one of them is a DPC, another one works for the URA, the Revenue Authority. Okay, they are all attached to Janet. We got information on all of them. Why doesn't Museveni choose somebody who has successfully used the PDM that they parade around as a success story for him to present at a ceremony like that? Atika teto lokom ngat money ma Museveni ukarigene video money making nyuruni la cho money dong fa me median dong dira dadani dong be to toile unu ngeni la ngat ene la ten wata Museveni gi wakati tu jale yone nye Kanyesige ko era yerwe diary money ni ma Museveni gunyuruni Kanyesige ene oberu wata la cho mama yanki luoni Kanyesige mala cho ene oberu enjo pa Museveni ge donyi mago binu go kwalo kere diani ko beri chani diani maketika waka kere ni kon fam pa jale dong be to toile diani waki kwane botwa kacha diani make kwalo men la cho ma kiloni Kanyesige ma won family oberu MP mubende kacha ma en beru MP ene opposition ki mao ki tueyo go we opposition po betie dago ene ukaro kui unopposed imubende nye Jovia Kanyesige ti parliament kumerishawane Jovia enuni okay Kanyesige en la cho money won family oberu wata Janet luo Janet ni auntie bundo neno Johnny we wunu neno kita Johnny ti kwere we pingo Museveni gi po kwanyu ngatimo ma ti ki PDM madong ulonya deda ki PDM gini piangi wai PDM wer project pagamente me konyu dano ko pingo jome PDM pegi kati pegi beru lulonyo pegi beru successful pingo en wore gini aye gen da bokelo me nyutuwani gini kara won weng uramte mone pian di mane in ka eta ki dambi iponi taka ko yeta ni tiki fam iponi gene loan money biro gam business my chako ne ko pingo PDM why don't PDM successfuls get shown by Museveni? Because there is none. Petting arimo ma loan ki PDM ya PDM be why go kati chal jo ati cham kai we table kuman gwok bu far yere chamko wer en bo chamko chogo mo bolu get gwoko ena e kita Johnny ti ukere ki Uganda wan ki far wa far kiten we go bill utami oh ngata kara beba in nel kera gwok war kere la gene ruede pien gwok ngene ruede ni obo mine gimo gwok pe par me ni ruedo mine cho wan bereni berbi mecha pien gwok ngene en pe rom kidano one dong Ugandans wangiyo ko meberni one power rom ki Johnny miera go bet kama be one bet kama right. No, I'm explaining that the way that they treat Ugandans is that, for example, if you're having dinner at the table, yes, if you're having dinner at the table or you're eating at the table, the dog is on the floor. You can drop some crumbs for the dog. That dog appreciates the owner because there will be crumbs. That dog also knows that they can never be a human being to sit at that table. That dog will never complain and say, why don't I get a plate at the table? Because that dog thinks the table is special for human beings. So, we are conditioned somehow in Uganda to think that they are better than us and we must enjoy crumbs. That is what PDM is. It's just crumbs while they enjoy the real deal. This Kanyesige guy is enjoying Ugandan sweat, but we're getting the crumbs. Okay? So, Jalma Kilwoni Kanyesige ni, o Luo Janet Museveni ni auntie ne. My young one to Kanyesige senior, Janet uchera iliel ka yikuno, pien geno beru wat. Wunu neno don kita video ki kwanyu ki gang kere we. Ena ye kita ki moko kere chira Uganda. Ena ye kita Minister of Education bere aki at Guinea. Jamine wengti me ki kingi wadi o kilurem. That is how it works. Jovia Kanyesige of Mubende was not elected. She was appointed. The opponent was destroyed completely. Dar makilwoni Jovia mamien Kanyesige madong Museveni war ni fameti bedu twali. Daro enu ni po karukui. Museveni kwanyu chiba kunu ni enini mak eni. Jami wenti kin Johnny. Jogangi keken. Neno. This one is even hard to explain. But I'm going to tell you and leave it out there. Ginabi titi ukomberi chawani. An kikoma. Bange yu kita jamine timmekere. An pedan mati lokom jok. Kilok me jok. Ben pa mero. Ento abi titi ukita jamine tika wot kere. Waunge kita Museveni ti ukwere. Lok mabi titi ukomberi chawani. Jomongo botamani anda po. Some of you are going to think I'm going nuts. But I'm not. I'm just going to share with you this information as it is. From the source. This is from the source. Okay? This is some spiritual stuff that these guys have been using time immemorial. I'm just going to lay it out there. Take it or leave it, but believe it or not, it's part of the weave of these guys, of how they exist. Okay, going into the spiritual world of Museveni. After all the atrocities that happened, okay, the children of Gaba, the accidents, there was an accident where there was a train wreck. I think they hit a vehicle or something. In the Gaba incident where the so-called murderer, you notice that the case is almost dying down. It's quiet. They said they're going to kill the guy who did it. We haven't heard anything. That is likely going to just die down and disappear. Because what that guy did, or whatever the circumstance was around that incident of the Gaba children, was all planned and done by Museveni and his people. Okay? So, the Gaba children, if you watch that video or you watch the scenarios, the pictures from that place, thank you, Winnie. Thank you so much for your flowers. Thank you. I appreciate that. The Gaba children, only one of those children had any blood. Imagine cutting somebody that they lose breath. That will mean you cut the main vein to the brain, which is called the jugular. Because once you cut that, there'll be less blood going into the brain and somebody would die. The fact that that was done, the machete guy apparently sliced their neck. They should have had a pool of blood by each child. But that never happened. There was only one child who had some blood on him. And the blood was like, you know, when many of you have cleaned up chicken. The blood was in little bits and drops, not as much. So anytime these guys are planning these atrocities, because all these accidents are planned by Museveni. Okay? Anytime Museveni plans these atrocities because he needs some blood to go and sacrifice to his gods or whatever, he sends his team of people to collect that blood because he wants to use them for something. It is in the spiritual realm. I'm not familiar with it, but I'm giving you as it is, okay? So, the blood from those children was taken away. I'm going to tell you how it's been used. All of the accidents, there was blood collected for spiritual use. The 666 cows that I told you about, that he was going to slaughter for the ceremony of the swearing in to be consumed all over Uganda, That is also blood that was collected. All of it was collected and taken to Museveni. This is how the blood was used. Blood from the accident of the train was given to African leaders who attended the swearing-in ceremony. Somehow it was mixed in their food. Somehow in the spiritual world, Museveni was told that because a train symbolizes unstoppable speed, and trains cross borders, and trains go between several countries, the reason why he was to give blood to those people, the African national representatives, was so that for his longevity to proceed, his dynasty to continue, and borderless like a train, and unstoppable like a train moves. So the symbolism in that was to serve those people that blood. I don't know what they do to the blood before they serve or mix it in and stuff. So anyway, the purpose of that symbolism of the train is that a train goes all over the world borderlessly, in Africa, for example, and it is unstoppable. So his dynasty of the Bachwezi will be unstoppable. This meaning Muhozi, and on and on and on. So train is unstoppable. Railways connect nations. Only trains. Trains are the only vessel that use train tracks. So, meaning Museveni alone will be powerful in the rest of Africa. That is the symbolism, because train tracks are only, a car cannot go on train rails. It's only a train that can travel on train tracks. That even though Museveni is gone, his dynasty continues in Africa. At every accident, there were spiritual people collecting blood. The Gaba children's blood was given to Ugandans, especially the young generations who were at the swearing in going to eat pilau. Tons of people were brought from different parts of Uganda, actually. In Gulu, there were about 7 to 10 buses of people who were shipped from Gulu to be brought to Kampala to attend the swearing in. These are villagers who just want to see Kampala because somebody said Kampala exists. Not because they were happy to come into the swearing in of Muhozi. No, not that. So I'm going to repeat this in Acholi. Ginabi what you want to talk about. Wundo jamu kana butamani we are ballet ba. Pa we are poor ballet. I mean titi wu jami ma Johnny, kita Johnny beru kwere. Okay? Ginabi titi weni lokom jok. An pa an la jok, an pa mirje me jok ben pa temu. Ento Museveni umaga we Ugandans mogu ki jok, mogu ki gene, ki kwa me come down. Pien jok si spiritual. Nano. So, wunu nano to mo beru kati me to le luteno make to ngud gi gaba. Make wa ikono nyum money yo to ngud gini. Ikare ma video nyo chalo kati ma nyuro luteno enni ki kama go to ayeni. Wunu wi wubi poni remu uberu pere ikama ki no kom lutini. Buram doctor nano videos nano chale guni. Anati uti ma doctor anangeyu ni tie kamogo maka ingolo unyo kari accident me remu romo otumo ko kikomi to twale ka ngudano ki wachi la chono charo chitongo lutini ngudgi pien rombe da dabe ne pien to ma lutini utone guto yoro manyuti no to ginater remu e adamu idano adamu I kape no remu manyuti penromo nongu yamo makiloni oxygen wang no mere to ikarma nok pero mo karma lach. So, lutini yani gina kita ke waju kede. Lutini yani ki gamu gi ki chero ki chinego gi ki kamoni ka ki duki gi ka kenyu. Maremo gi ki toro ki komgi ka ki duki gi ki bolu gi kenyu mengo wek don ki di pange ching jal moni ni wek kese ni do wara nyim ki wachi la chone o tong dan pien koni wegi lutino penyu wi angote lutino wa. Neno. So, kari ni ke kete lutini ki nego gi ka kenyu remo pa lutini chero kwene. Gina down waju en ki jogi kun waju ni Johnny eni kamo ke gen ma accident te me ye chalo accident money ma gao go down ki gimoni ni accident mogo me batch ma down tu mo ki batchi ajoke nyo jo pa Museveni gi lobu ko accident no plan ti ye ya no dongu nge ni oboteme gen or jogi ni ber ka lobu kama accident boteme te accident te me lipa remo ki kwanyu ki ter bor Museveni remo ni Museveni ujogo pien Museveni merte mutim joga wi Ugandans kenyu Aya. Diai ma wachi wuni Museveni bongolo diai mia bichel ki pier bichele. Ma wa bingolo ki bi poko ko Uganda wen down wa botimu party ki bi chamu kolu diai kwango. Diai ego ni ngole. Jomo char kololo gu chamu chele gu chamu diai ma donata. Diai ma ki ngolo kunu ni remo ki bena ki jogo. Meti ja jwaka. Neno. Remu mau ki kom accident megani. Ga money mo go down ko go markani. Ma down to yeni. Remu yani ki jolo. Eni ki keropat. Remu yani Museveni. Uti ukere. Letting money swearing in. I dek pa joma lutela mai lobo mai Africa. Mako bino ka neno. Kaberi swearing in nani. Johnny enu ni. Guchamu remo eni Museveni no rubo kokoni imuchele ko iriyo enjo ko ngoma gimoni mani maguchamani kirubo ga iye remo eni guchamo manyuti gina Museveni timu pingoki gina kirubo remo eni pien Museveni wachi ga oberu gen ma per choke ine ga ka do ero ngwejong per choke ba wanga ki wachi ga ine buchero chung tororo Madong kado chok o tororo dong. Dong nyano brek mot piano dong chok o kamanong mero chumi yeni. Ineno. So, Museveni wachi kita ga pe chungi en pe meti tela ne unyo tela palutino ne unyo dynasty pa bachwezi o chung. En symbolism en wero en gina ga ginu wero utimo accident me gani. Pien remo yani no ki kama gati ye remo yani no me ukilo tela yani weng lu tela yani ngeni we go poi ko Museveni maka gi modo beti Museveni down weng away Museveni ini what Museveni yeah we tela pa Museveni potum nye pota ginu kana maga nyuru ena ye railway paga kama ga worki yani ga ke kana ye worki ki gine ki railway Mutaka para mwedi railway. Manyuti Museveni mieti en kena ye law en ki family ne ki bachwezi dynasty ke kena ye law Uganda. Mono yoni bena gutwe yuka kenyu. Genmu kene railway nyoga riu ka weng ilobo weng ko gati mangol chero Tanzania ngol chero Congo ngol chero kwene en loka en ni weko Museveni miti en mi remo ni wek en chalo Museveni ibed no rom donyo kamo ke ken chamo ken la boya yela nyo jona nyo luteno ne la boya yela en do tiu kiremo en ni me weko ni gine somehow donyo wi joni kon utime ke nini mon wen ti jok ento utimo kumeno pigine ni wek any law Africa Unyoy Africa dano wigu po chawa weng ni Museveni eto mewa ba Museveni ila tela wa unyo jopa Museveni ke kena ilu tela. Okay. Remo pa lutiano gaba lutiano mwani maki ngolo gini maguto igankwane remo enne Museveni uti ukere muchele mwani madano meto idoge kololoni ni uchero kachamu muchele uchero kachamu dek kono yupa Museveni weng no uchero ye uchero kachame Remo ene ki poko kunu wek wun lo Uganda wi wu poti unge ni Museveni kekena ye ngo la tela unyo jopa Museveni keken ena ye gena ye ngeyu tela Uganda wanjo kena ni dongwa bed ma wiwa wilo lokom tela dok mier Uganda zo bed ma luo dida dok mier bulu me Uganda o ma ena deda ena wero pol down mo ber kunu ber down ma tem bulu ge George aroka lwen pi muchele mwani ma Museveni uteru kololoni. Uchamo gi ugi mwani. Ko beta wani Museveni do. Museveni pe yot ba. Distribution mere mumuke ane modongi. The rest of the Gaba blood was given to the Pilao locations around the ceremony at Kololo. The people who went to get Museveni's food on the swearing-in day, those got a sample of it. They got some of that. To make sure, this was to make youth respect Museveni and love Museveni, to divert youth from thinking about any other leadership except them. Okay? The rest of the distribution goes this way, of the blood. NRM caucus, There will be another session where they'll cook for them and have them eat that. The new parliament, the parliament canteen, and any parliamentary session that you're going to go, Museveni is going to invite all new MPs to go and do this and that and the other. You're going to have some too. The meeting of religious leaders, Museveni is going to call them to come and celebrate his win. They will be served that. Like I said before, Museveni serves Muslim leaders during the end of Eid pork. I'm telling you, these guys can humiliate. And he doesn't care. So the next bits of blood is going to the meeting of religious leaders. The other batch will go to the UPDF functions in celebration of their win. The next one will go into the Interreligious Council. You will also be invited, or somehow you may even have your own meetings, but the blood will get to you somehow. Museveni will make it happen. Parties in every region or district, all celebrations of NRMs of this and that in different regions are going to get a sample of this. Remu mukena mo donki bi poko man. Jomi NRM caucus gubi beri gene gubi ti patigi melano kuiko. Mono eni gubi chamu remu. Jomi parliament matika chairman yene. Museveni boluogi o weng ni ku chat gu gene I meeting kwa ngo I party weng gubi chamu remu eni bene. Jome ludirodini kibiluogi kita wachi wuni Museveni genatemu madong chilu loya matama ni robami arofori ini ano chilami kar ini ano mano dong gugiro gero kar ma gugiro fasting and magitemu duwe kidweni inge fasting kichero kichamu gene chamma diet kilwani idiko Museveni luogi parliament kacha inge gene state house inge gene Museveni menigi Minigo pego. Rio pego and ni kiruba by there. Chilam chamu pego but Museveni. Museveni right ba. Anyway. Jomo kene MP manyan I canteen gi kacha I parliament. Remo beberu kono. Meeting pa Luteladini awajo. Jo UPDF ki yubo function. Mono bana gubi no. Interreligious council. Ludirudini mapari pari. Go be beri bere go be cherry go be beri function bere go be chamo party mo kana me katukui bo beri district ma pari any wang john bo no sample. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about, and maybe the second to last, the mafia printed a lot of money during the campaign period. Lots of fake Ugandan currency was printed and is in circulation. Ikarma campaign timeni Museveni gugu yubo chene gugoy chene oki art and chene magin ki goy ki patch ki yubo ka ki char ki pone gugoy luak chene deda chiku beri chani dong gitika nongoni kita ka mente dong tika gene do laka o chene maraj dong mier po beringa e ching down so gitika wachi joma tiki chene egu maraj ni guchak ticho kwere manyuti gubu bira wilo building materials meger jemmi gubu bira kamino wila tata Chene ene dobo doni ching dana tata ba luchar will. Mai kare ma kibi chako mako dano pi chene ma rach. Anga agi ma kibi mako. Wunjo ma uchar will bot Johnny. Kibi ma wo weng pi beru ki chene ma ngo multi counterfeit. Chene ma rach. Kuno gena yo goy chene no ba. Chene billions ma kibi ka yene kere ka wengi. Anita mongi bene no tikere. Chene ene kibi mako kere down le quick chi wori buch. So the fake currencies that were made during the election period they're hurrying up. They're saying use that money quickly because we need to get it out into circulation so that we are not held up with it. So in the moment of, okay, they said use it mainly for construction materials or merchandise or whatever. This means that when the time comes for them to catch people with counterfeits or fake money, guess who is going to have a lot of fake money? The businesses in Uganda. A lot of our brothers and sisters who are doing well with certain businesses, hospitals, construction materials, those are the first culprits. It'll be time to shut them down. It'll be time to put them in jail. It'll be time to, all of that will get further more people to get imprisoned or lose their lives due to counterfeits that were made by the Musevenis themselves. You would think they could just destroy the money. No, they're going to pass it down to the local level. And that's where they'll come and arrest people for something they did themselves. They're crazy. So, they continue with their operations of destroying Kampala, breaking buildings. Like I said, the president's home is not going to survive. Busabala, they want it destroyed. They want to take over Busabala. This just goes to show you, if they can do things like this, you know, to His Excellency Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, imagine you. Imagine us. Imagine what they can do to us. So I love you and leave you. This was long and I'm sorry, but I had to catch up on a lot of things. I hope you have a good day. I hope you have a good night. I hope you have a good evening. I love you very, very much. Stay well, and I'll see you soon on the next video.